Hello friends, this is your friend back with a new fanfic. What if Naruto awakened a hidden bloodline during the Mizuki incident? If you like this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's start. Chapter 1. The sun has just set on the village hidden in the leaves, Konohagakure. It was the day of the genin selection exams. One young yellow-haired boy is in the middle of the woods trying his hardest for his makeup exam. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu, screamed Naruto. Poof, a dozen clones of him came into existence. Yata, yelled Naruto. The scroll said that these were solid clones. Better test one out to make sure so I don't fail the exam, he observed. Come here, he told one of the clones. As it walked over, Naruto suddenly charged said clone and kicked it in its face, leaving only enough time for him to see its slightly shocked face before it poofed once more out of existence. Strange, my face kind of tingles like something struck it. Maybe I'll ask Gigi about it later. What should I do now? I've already mastered the jutsu, so I guess I could just rest. Murmured Naruto to himself as he sat on the ground to wait for a teacher to grade his work. About an hour later, a man in black pants and shirt with a green flak jacket, his hair in a pineapple-looking ponytail and a scar across his nose came into the clearing and found Naruto just napping on the ground. He steals a scroll of powerful and forbidden techniques, from the most important person and place in the village, and when I find him he's taking a nap in the middle of nowhere. He asked himself as he walked up to the young blonde. Coughing lightly into his fist, he gathered as much air into his lungs before shouting at Naruto, his head somehow growing as he did so, "You moron, what the hell are you doing?" Naruto, scared out of his sleep, was momentarily terrified, convinced that the village was under attack or something, before realizing he had company. "Iruka-sensei, I found you, Datebayo!" shouted Naruto. The now identified Iruka sighed as he pinched the bridge of his nose, sighing before telling Naruto, "No, I found you. Now what are you doing out here and why did you take the forbidden scroll?" The blonde looked at Iruka with a rather confused expression on his face. "What do you mean, Iruka-sensei?" asked Naruto. "I'm here training for the makeup exam," he said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world, like the color of the sky, or the awesomeness of ramen. "He came out here to train. He's exhausted and was napping when I got here. How long was he working?" "Wait, what? What do you mean makeup exam, Naruto?" asked the scarred man. Naruto smiled as he proudly hefted the large scroll. "Mizuki-sensei said that if I got this scroll from the Hokage and learned a jutsu from it, I could graduate since I failed the normal exam." "That's strange. Why would Mizuki tell him that? Unless..." All of a sudden the sound of shuriken and kunai being thrown reaches his ears. "Naruto, get down!" shouted Iruka as he tackled his student. "Well done, Iruka, I didn't think you had it in you," shouted someone in a tree on the edge of the clearing. He was a silver-haired man in the same outfit as Iruka, but with a pair of gigantic throwing stars on his back. "Mizuki, what is the meaning of this?" shouted Iruka at the silver-haired man. "I've gotten rather bored here, Iruka. This place has been holding me back from day one. So I found a new master, one that will give me power. All I needed was a little gift and all that I ever wanted would be mine." "You're insane, Mizuki," shouted Iruka. "Come Naruto, let us leave this place and fulfill our every dream. Give me the scroll," screamed the demented silver-haired man. "Don't give it to him, Naruto," yelled Iruka. Cackling, Mizuki simply asked, "And why should he listen to you, the one who lied to, and hated him all his life, Do you want to know why you are hated, Naruto? Why no one loves you or ever will?" "Stop, Mizuki," yelled a desperate Iruka. "It's because you are the nine-tailed fox that attacked the village 14 years ago. It was you who killed the fourth Hokage. It was you who killed Iruka's parents." "What?" thought Naruto, "is that true? Am I just a monster? Did I kill all those people? Did I kill the Yondaime and Iruka's parents? If that's true, then I guess I deserve to be treated this way." "No, he's not," shouted Iruka. "He's just a child who's had a burden no man should carry on his own, thrust upon his shoulders. He is Naruto Uzumaki, shinobi of Konohagakure no Sato." Naruto then remembered all the people who made his lonely existence bearable, the Hokage, Iruka, and the family who ran his favorite ramen stand, the Ichirakus, and he began to smile. "Thanks, Iruka-sensei, I know who I am. I am Naruto Uzumaki, the next Hokage." Mizuki just stood there and smirked. How can you be a Hokage if you're dead? He asked as he grabbed several shuriken and kunai and threw them at Naruto. Shit, thought Iruka as he tackled Naruto, getting him out of the line of fire, thus making the kunai hit him instead and pinned him to a tree. With Iruka pinned to a tree by kunai, Mizuki wound up one of his giant shuriken about to throw it, with Naruto watching from where Iruka knocked him down too. Say goodbye to your demon brat, Iruka, screamed the insane Chunin, as he let fly with the shuriken. No, no, no. I can't let Iruka-sensei die like this. But I'm not strong enough to beat him. Do you want power, boy? What? He thought as he fell into the blackness. Inside Mindscape, Naruto woke up groggily, before shortly realizing he was in a strange sewer, lying in the water. Ew. Why am I in a sewer? Wait, Iruka-sensei. He started to panic slightly before realizing that before he could help his sensei, he had to find out where he was. Noticing the water was flowing like a river, he decided to go upstream to see where the source of the water was. Following the pipes, he soon came to a large chamber with an area sectioned off by gigantic metal bars closed with a paper with the kanji for seal on it. Feeling this was important, he walked up to the gate, only to jump back as a large pair of red eyes opened behind it, as well as a large toothy disturbing looking grin appearing and a deep booming laughter being heard. So my warden finally graces me with his presence, said the same voice he heard in the forest. Where am I? Asked Naruto. We are in your head, Kit. The place that represents your mind, said the voice. Why, you're the fox, aren't you? The Kyuubi no Kitsune, asked a terrified Naruto. That I am, Kit. So do you want my power? Asked the fox. I do want power, but not yours. I want my own power so I can protect my precious people. If it is not my own, it would be a hollow victory, replied the young blonde. The Kyuubi stared at Naruto for a few moments before bursting out into laughter, and saying, good answer, Kit, you're a warrior born. Tell you what, I think I'll give you a new power. Don't ask me how it works as I only understand the basics myself. So do you accept? That depends on what this power is, and what you want in return, said Naruto, slightly suspicious of the giant fox. Once again the fox burst into laughter. This power is what I believe you mortals call a keke genkai. And all I want is a chance to see the outside world. Before Naruto could protest such an arrangement, the fox cut him off and continued his speech. I don't expect you to open the doors right now or anything like that. That comes later when I eat you. Right now I just want you to tear off a small part of the seal so that I can see through your eyes, smell through your nose, hear what you hear. After 14 odd years of being locked in a cage in the sewers, I've gotten rather bored. How large a part of the seal? Asked Naruto. About the size of your thumb, replied the Kyuubi. Yes, the ripping off a part of the seal thing is a cliché, but I don't care. Isn't a keke genkai something you get from your parents? If you're asking what I think you're asking, then yes, if you have children then they could have this bloodline as well. What kind of keke genkai would I get? It is a power called black blood and it turns your blood black as well as allowing you complete control over it. Again, I don't know what exactly you can do with it, but I can think of a few things, such as forming weapons with it and making a type of armor, or simply surrounding someone with it and crushing them to death, as well as increasing the amount of blood in your body by about triple the amount. Kyuubi explained. What do you mean triple the amount? Questioned the confused blonde. The average human adult has 5 pints of blood within their body, little over a gallon. Triple that and you get 15 pints, which is just shy of 4 gallons. You on the other hand are a 14-year-old midget kid, so you don't even have that much. But how would I get it out of my body without cutting myself or getting hurt over and without killing myself due to blood loss? Asked Naruto, a little miffed about being called a midget. Well, you see, when you use your powers, your skin will open up like a lid, think Kimimaro, and when you're finished getting the blood you'd simply close up without a trace, or I'd suggest you put as much into one of those sealing scrolls you mortals are so proud of as you can. As for dying from loss of blood, you'd only need the normal amount to live, which means you essentially have 2 bodies worth of blood to go through before you enter the proverbial danger zone. That does sound pretty awesome. Alright, I'll do it, Datebayo, shouted Naruto, as he walked up to the gates. He reached up to one corner of the seal and slowly and meticulously ripped off a piece no larger than the last digit of his thumb. All of a sudden, large amount of a red substance started to crawl towards and engulf Naruto. As it touched him it started to burn, and he began screaming from the pain. HMPH. Did I forget to mention this was going to hurt? Oh, how careless of me, said the fox, without a hint of remorse in his words. Naruto soon collapsed on the floor of his sewer, panting for breath as he glared at the fox. Is there anything else I should know? Let's see. Well, since this isn't a Dujutsu Kekkei Genkei, there are elements that combine to make it. In this case, along with whatever your natural affinity is, you now have an affinity for earth and wind. What do you mean? Asked the clueless blonde. Very well you idiot kid, I'll explain. Mortals usually have what are called affinities to certain elements, which means that using a jutsu from that element is not as taxing as another. Take you for example, unless your natural affinity was already for fire, now that you have that black blood, a fire jutsu will always cost more than either an earth jutsu or a wind jutsu. Sugoi. So I have 3 affinities now? Asked a suddenly hyperactive Naruto. Silence. Screamed the fox, instantly getting Naruto to calm down. You might have 3 affinities kid, earth or wind might have already been your natural affinity. Scolded the fox, leaving a sheepish Naruto. So my blood is now black. You said I had complete control of it. How does that work? How do I control it? Wondered Naruto. Yes it is, and from my understanding you simply have to channel chakra to your black blood and then it will bend to your will. Now I believe you have a teacher to save Kit. Iruka-sensei. Holy crap, I forgot all about him. How do I get out? How do I get out? Screamed a now panicking Naruto as he ran around in circles waving his arms around like a maniac. If you allow me to speak I will answer you. If you wish to leave all you simply have to will it. But before you go, I don't suppose you could do something about this place, could you? It is rather depressing, said the fox. I'll do as much as I can when I have the time, promised Naruto even as he felt once again that he was falling into darkness. Real world. Naruto came to just in time to see that the giant shuriken that Mizuki had let fly had moved perhaps a foot from where it had been before he had met with the fox. Thinking quickly he remembered the fox's words on how to control the blood and his idea of using it for armor. He jumped between Iruka and the shuriken, and held up a hand palm out. He then focused as much chakra as he could into the blood vessels in his forearm and hand and thought about the blood hardening. As Iruka watched in horror, and Mizuki watched in glee, the shuriken got closer and closer and then struck Naruto's outstretched hand. But rather than cutting his hand off, it barely cut him before it stopped. Mizuki and Iruka watched awestruck as Naruto tossed the shuriken to the side and growled at the silver-haired man, "Just try to hurt Iruka-sensei, you piece of shit. I'll repay you anything you do to him 1,000 times over." Naruto. How did you do that? Mumbled Iruka to himself. What can you do, little fox? You're just a poor little abomination that needs to be put out of its misery. After I kill you I'm going to kill Iruka as well. Screamed Mizuki, cackling insanely. We'll see about that, Tem. Yelled Naruto as he made a classic hand sign, Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, multiple shadow clone jutsu. 1,000 Narutos popped into existence and stared with utter hatred at Mizuki, who was starting to sweat profusely. Bring it on, little demon. You are nothing compared to my might. Suddenly a strange black substance came out of and covered every Naruto's cut right hand, covering his arm up to the elbow. After every Naruto had his arm covered, they charged the silver-haired man. A beaten and bloodied Mizuki lay on the ground as a sweaty and exhausted Naruto stood panting over him. He then walked over to Iruka and said, "I did it," before pulling all the kunai out of his friend. Naruto, can you sit down and close your eyes? Asked Iruka to a very surprised Naruto. Sure, Iruka-sensei, said Naruto. Soon he felt a strange weight on his head and had to resist the temptation to look. All right, Naruto, said Iruka, causing the blonde to open his eyes. The first thing he noticed was that Iruka no longer had his Hitai-8, which caused him to feel his forehead. He then started to tear up as he felt Iruka's Hitai-8 on his head. Congratulations, Naruto. You passed this year's genin selection exam, said Iruka with a proud smile towards his favorite student. He was then tackled to the ground by an ecstatic blonde blur, which was laughing merrily. Nay, Naruto, how did you do that anyways? The thing with the shuriken in your arm? Wondered the scar-faced man. Oh, that's easy, Iruka-sensei. It was a Kekkei Genkei that the fox gave me. You're damn right I did, said the fox, startling Naruto for a second, but he decided to worry about it later. Iruka wondered for a second if he had gone crazy or was sleeping, but he had always been sane and he was in too much pain to be asleep. "I'm sorry?" asked a deeply confused Iruka. "When Mizuki threw that shuriken at you, the fox pulled me into my, I think he said, mindscape or something. Anyways, it asked me if I wanted power, and I told it only if it was my own power to protect my precious people, or else it would be a hollow victory. It then gave me a bloodline which allows me to freely control my blood as well as tripling the amount of blood in me. He then told me that if I didn't have it before then I have both an earth and a wind elemental affinity. It then said that I can give the ability to my kids if I had any." The new genin ecstatically explained to his sensei. "Interesting, Naruto. Well, now that this whole fiasco is over, how about we give the scroll back to Hokage-sama, and then go have some ramen to celebrate?" "Yata, ramen," screamed the blonde while going to pick up the almost forgotten forbidden scroll. As they left for the Hokage's office, neither one noticed nor cared that the Hokage's elite forces, the ambush, showed up and took Mizuki away. At the Hokage's office, Hiruzen Sarutobi, otherwise known as the Sandaime Hokage, looked at the young man who he considered a grandson and his teacher as they explained the events of the night. "And then Naruto picked up the scroll and we came here, Hokage-sama," finished Iruka, who was standing at attention in front of the Hokage's desk. "Very well. Mizuki has been apprehended and been placed in a cell at the T&I department. As for you, Naruto, I'm very proud you were able to beat Mizuki even if it was foolhardy and reckless of you. I am going to approve Iruka's decision and make you a full genin. I am also going to give you the mission pay for AB rank and put one on your record. Report tomorrow at the academy at 10 to receive your team assignments. But before you go, I'd like a sample of your blood so that we may run some tests on it to see what you can do," said the Hokage. "What do you mean sample, Gigi, and didn't I already tell you what I can do?" asked a thoroughly confused whiskered genin. "Well, Naruto, some abilities have uses that can only become apparent after serious study and deliberation. I just want you to live up to your full potential," explained the aged man. "All right, Gigi, do you have something to keep the blood in?" The Hokage thought for a minute before he called, "Neko-san." After he called, a young woman with purple hair and a cat mask appeared kneeling before the Hokage, and asked, "What may I do for you, Hokage-sama? Do you have some kind of container that we may use for a sample of Naruto's blood?" asked the Hokage. "No, I do not, sir, but Tora is a medic, so he may have one," she replied as a man in a tiger mask appeared with a glass vial. "Naruto, can you put some blood in the vial or do you need some sort of assistance?" asked Hiruzen. "Thanks, Gigi, but Kyuubi told me how to do this," he said excitedly as he held out his left hand palm up. After about 3 seconds, 2 bisecting lines appeared on his palm and the skin split and blood flowed out. The 4 adults in the room looked worryingly at Naruto only to see that he didn't look uncomfortable in the slightest. After an amount of blood had come out, his hand closed without even so much as a scar. Fascinating, thought the Hokage and Tora. The blood then began to hover in the air in a sphere about 3 inches across, and Naruto started to sweat from the concentration needed to do this. The blood then began to flow into the vial. Naruto only got about 3/4 of it into the vial before his concentration broke and the rest fell onto the floor, the Hokage's desk, and Tora's gloved hand. "Sorry, Gigi," said Naruto as he looked at the floor and the desk where his blood had fallen, looking both mentally and physically exhausted. "It's all right, Naruto," replied Hiruzen, "it can be cleaned. Now how about you go home and rest? You have a big day tomorrow." "But Gigi," whined Naruto, "Iruka-sensei promised me ramen." Smiling, Iruka replied, "Tell you what, Naruto, I'll take you for ramen tomorrow, right now you look dead on your feet." "How about it? I'll hold you to that, Iruka-sensei," promised Naruto as he bid everyone goodbye, but just as he was about to leave he remembered something and turned to the Hokage, much to the surprise of everyone present. "Hey Gigi, is there something I should know about Kage Bunshin? Because I was testing it out and I kicked one in the face, and after it disappeared it seemed like I knew what it felt like to be kicked in the face." Everyone just looked surprised at his observation as Hiruzen decided to tell Naruto of the perks of the Kage Bunshin jutsu. "Well, Naruto, the Kage Bunshin is a very special technique in that when a clone is dispelled, its memories are transferred back to the user and any other remaining clones. So anything that you the clones do you learn as well? Naruto scrunched his face up in thought, then asked, so if one of the clones memorized a book and then dispelled, I'd memorize the book as well. The others just looked surprised at his observation. Yes Naruto, that is exactly correct, it also works with jutsu or chakra control exercises. If a clone masters something then you get the experience and you master it as well. Something that would take a 2 hours would only take 1 with a clone, and something that takes a year would only take a month with 12. It is a great training tool, and since you have such high chakra levels you could make hundreds of clones and you could master pretty much anything easily. At this point Naruto had sparkles in his eyes as he considered the possibilities of what his Gigi had said, and then he grew slightly confused. Nay Gigi. What are chakra control exercises? The Hokage looked slightly exasperated and simply told Naruto that he would tell him next time Naruto came for a visit. After some grumbling on Naruto's part he left to go sleep. After Naruto had gone he turned to Tora and told him with the utmost seriousness and a tone that said, "Do not this up. I need you to go to the hospital and have the leading hematologist run every single test imaginable twice on this sample. I don't care if he's sick with only hours to live. This power was born of the fox, and I don't want any unneeded complications. Do you understand me Tora?" "Hi, Hokage-sama," said Tora as he disappeared to do as the Hokage told him. After he left Hiruzen dismissed Neiko, sighed and turned to Iruka. "What do you think, can we trust Naruto's new powers?" Iruka thought for a moment before replying, "We may not be able to trust his new ability, but I place every trust imaginable in Naruto." "I agree Iruka, but it is better to be safe than sorry. I'm going to be putting a tail on Naruto for a while to make sure his new ability doesn't have drawbacks," said the now rather solemn Hokage. "How long will this tail be on him?" asked the Chunin. Hiruzen thought about it and said, "Until his first C-rank mission." Iruka seemed to accept that and bid the Hokage good night. After he left, the Hokage swiveled his chair to face the window and sighed. It's going to be a long next few days. Chapter 2, New Team. I will be doing as much of the story as I can, however I've only ever watched the anime up to Naruto getting Tsunade's necklace, and after that I've only ever read the manga and watched the Snow movie. If people want a filler arc then an adequate number of people have to request it in time for the arc, I'm not going back. Also this will not be one of those fics where he's a goddamn pariah. No daily beatings, no drunk Chunin stabbing him when he was 6, no having to steal from people because when he bought things he ripped off or get something moldy, the worst he gets is hateful stares and hurtful words. He's lonely and that's it. I will try to do lemons, but that will only be after the time skip when he is 17. I've been thinking about it and I've decided to change the elemental affinities to earth and wind, because as far as I know there is no bloodline for that. And that isn't the dust bloodline because the dust bloodline is earth, wind, and fire. Insert joke here. This will be the only major change I'm going to do in this story. I'm kinda surprised at the turnout too. I mean it's been less than a day and I've already got 500 views, 19 favorites and 45 followers. Wow, I honestly thought it'd take a lot longer to do that much. Maybe I'm underestimating the number of people on the site. Brown Phantom. I honestly didn't think he was told that much other than control, affinity, and capacity. Guest 1. What? Eagle 12. I know I already PM'd you but I thought I'd be fair. He will be reasonably smart but he will have his idiot moments. The Kyuubi is going to threaten him to what he thinks his container should be like. He'll be serious but not a psychopath. Hoity. Yeah I know. In fact that was actually one of my main concerns as to which elements I should have picked. You're right about the Shikatsumiku thing, though like I said earlier I'm not going back. Xavion. Yeah the ANs weren't a good idea. For me, no matter what I write whether it's a school paper or a story, I can never find a good place to start, and like I said last chapter I have zero confidence in my writing ability. As for the poisons, it seems rather rushed but I think that his natural Uzumaki healing factor as well as the Kyuubi would take care of most but the strongest of them. Guest 3. No Naruto Hinata there's way too many of the damn things already. While I do like her as a character, I feel she doesn't have a strong enough will to be with Naruto. Hell she'd probably go comatose from their first kiss. This will be a pure Naruto femme Hiku fic. Ryujin 96, I really can't think of a way to do that. Red Hot Mito. I like my way better. Hello, human speech. Hello, human thought. Hello, demon speech. Hello, demon thought. Jutsu, jutsu. Naruto's bedroom. Kid, we need to talk. Mindscape. Naruto once again felt himself falling into the darkness, except this time he rather welcomed it. He again found himself in front of the cage. What do you want, fur ball? Asked a tired Naruto. Screw you, kid, I just wanted you to make good on your promise to fix this abysmal sewer. Retorted an annoyed fox demon. What do you want me to do? Inquired the blonde. I don't give a damn as long as there's more green. Grumbled the fox. Naruto thought for a moment and then closed his eyes. When he opened them up, it was an improvement. They were now in a cave with the stalactites and stalagmites acting as the prison bars, with sunlight pouring in through holes in the ceiling, which allowed moss to grow all over the place. One thing that was similar was the steady drip, drip, drip of water upon the small pools that were everywhere. All in all, it was a rather beautiful place for those poetically inclined. Which sadly neither inhabitant was. What the hell is this? Roared Kyuubi. It's the best I could do on such short notice, and if you don't recall, I had a life or death struggle not 2 hours ago. I'm tired and I want to sleep. Also, you said you didn't care as long as there was more green. Whined Naruto, pointing to the moss. The fox, realizing the blonde had a point as well as not liking his own words being used against him, decided to remain quiet. So may I leave now? Asked Naruto. Not yet, kid, I want to have a word with you about your conduct as a ninja. I want you to get your head in the game. Act serious, I have a reputation to uphold. What do you mean, Kyuubi? I do take being a ninja seriously. No you don't, kid. You treat it as if it were some big game. Well, newsflash, it's not. It's a life filled with death and isolation. In your time you will have to kill, and you will most likely also be killed. And before you say otherwise, look at your Gigi. How many shinobi are his age? How many are half his age? Naruto sat there trying to think of a comeback. Listen to me and maintain my image, and I will do all I can to help you, but know this. If I catch you slipping up, I will devour your soul in an instant. Do I make myself clear? Naruto, after a moment's thought, nodded. All right, Kyuubi, if you think you can help me, I will do as you say. But so help me, if you lead me down what I think is the wrong path, I will not hesitate to turn around. Said Naruto to the fox, with eyes shining with determination. After a brief stare down, both parties grinned. This was going to be an interesting relationship. The next day, as Naruto awoke from his slumber, he began to remember the events from last night. Man, that was one crazy dream, he said as he began stretching. I agree with you, kid, I am too good to be true. Said the kitsune, startling Naruto enough where he fell out of bed. What the hell? Yelled Naruto as the Kyuubi laughed at him from inside his head. Wow, kid, you really are dumb as a brick, said the Kyuubi, ignoring the indignant, Oi, weren't you supposed to do something today? Oh, I get assigned to my genin team today, shouted the ecstatic blonde ninja. As he started to get dressed, he suddenly found himself flinching at the sharp reprimand coming from within his head. I swear to whichever god you believe in most that if after today you wear those disgusting orange eyesores, I will follow my brother and give you such horrible nightmares you won't sleep for a month. What's wrong with my jumpsuits? Shouted an indignant Naruto. They are abominations, and to throw them out would do a disservice to the trash. As well as they are highly impractical in the field. You might as well just hold up a gigantic sign that says, "Over here, come kill me." Also, you don't have to say your answers out loud. While it would be funny to see the villagers' reactions to you talking to yourself, I'd hate for you to be in a room for crazy people. After a little more arguing, Kyuubi managed to convince Naruto to give up the jumpsuits. At the academy, as Naruto was walking in to get assigned to his team, he nearly bumped into another person. This boy was Kiba Inuzuka, another graduate who had fang tattoos on his face and what to Naruto seemed like a strange obsession with dogs. Hey Dobi, what are you doing here? Only the people that graduated should be here, asked Kiba, shouting for no real reason. As Naruto was opening his mouth to respond, he listened to what Kyuubi told him to do, and so he just smirked, pointed to his Hitai-8, and walked past the flabbergasted dog lover. Looking around for a seat, he decided to take one near the middle of the class, in an empty row, and just observe the rest of the class. After a while, twin purple and red blurs shot into the classroom. 1. As they stopped just inside the door, you could tell it was two young girls, one a platinum blonde, the other a pinkette. As they went off on each other about Kami knows what, Kyuubi decided to strike up a conversation. What kind of kunoichi has pink hair? Shut up Kyuubi, Sakura-cha. Come on Kyuubi, she's not that bad. For once kid, you're right. She's worse. As they had their silent argument, Iruka walked in and saw that everybody was there, so he decided to start. All teams are canon, too lazy to do anything else. Team 7 had been waiting for over an hour and they had gotten bored. Sasuke was simply brooding in a corner, Sakura was fawning over him trying to strike up a conversation, and Naruto was hovering somewhere between states of consciousness. Naruto! Yelled Kyuubi, startling Naruto out of his semi-conscious haze. Yeah, if you're bored, why don't you practice with that gift I gave you? Because I don't know. Why not? Nothing else to do. What do you have in mind? Why not simply try to make shapes out of the blood? Shrugging, Naruto held out his right hand palm up, which didn't go unnoticed by his teammates, who were wondering both what he was doing and why he was even there. To their shock, Naruto's hand suddenly split open and some kind of black substance was pouring out. Neither could really look away from the spectacle, but for rather different reasons. I think I'm gonna be sick, thought Sakura, turning a little green. How is the Dobi doing that? Wondered Sasuke, finding himself interested despite his self-imposed aloofness. Then the liquid began to form shapes. It first turned into a slightly lopsided sphere, then a star, then a rectangle, a heart, a pyramid, switching to seemingly random shapes at seemingly random times, though as time passed, the shapes got less defined and he was starting to struggle. Dobi, what are you doing and what is that stuff? Sasuke asked rather awkwardly. Well I'm trying to control it, and as for what it is. It's my blood, he said casually as if simply remarking on the weather, though his new comrades almost threw up. What the hell, why is your blood black? I mean, I've seen it before and it was red, and how the hell are you controlling it? Screeched the pink-haired kunoichi, nearly deafening both of the males. Worse. Shut up. After digging in his ear with a finger so he could hear again, he simply responded, it's my Kekkei Genkei, I unlocked it last night. For his part, he and Kyuubi were holding their laughter in at their flabbergasted expressions. Sasuke was the first to come out of his stupor, and seemed to take it personally that the Dobi could have a bloodline and that he unlocked it before Sasuke himself unlocked his, so he once again retreating to a corner to brood. Sakura returned to the world of the living a few minutes later and decided not to believe him, since him having a bloodline would put him somewhere near her Sasuke-kun, not at the same level, of course, but close enough. Naruto was simply content to, for the moment, ignore his companions and focus on his new training, trying to keep his focus and make more and more complex shapes. But he could only keep his focus for at most a few minutes, and make the most basic of shapes. And then the fun of his teammates bickering over dating rights would begin again and would make it harder for him to do anything. This was the scene that Kakashi walked in on another hour and a half later. A black-haired one in a corner seeming angry for some reason, a pink-haired kunoichi fawning all over him outrageously, and the third blonde one sitting near the windows, with a black mass hovering over his hand, forming shapes. Kakashi had been told of Naruto's new abilities, yes. But being told was one thing, seeing was another. While he was slightly intrigued, he hid it well behind his mask of indifference. Team 7, he lightly asked, which apparently startled the new genin. As the brooder shot to his feet, the pink-haired one jumped so hard she fell out of her chair, and Blondie lost all concentration and the black liquid just fell to the desk. You know you're cleaning that, right? Deadpanned the Junin. After some mild cursing he continued with, meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. Before vanishing in a swirl of leaves. So how about we introduce ourselves, you know, likes, dislikes, plans for the future, dreams, things like that. Said Kakashi lightly. Well sensei, how about you do it first and show us how it's done? Asked Sakura. Alright, my name is Kakashi Hatake, I like many things, I dislike a few things, and I really don't have a dream. Now you Pinky. Slightly miffed at the nickname and the lack of information, Sakura said with some obvious strain in her voice. My name is Sakura Haruno, I'm the best kunoichi in the class. I like Sasuke, and hate Naruto, and my dream for the future. Well, she looked at Sasuke at this point and gave a squeal that sent a slight shiver down the spine of the three men. Pointing at Sasuke he said, "You're up, sunshine." Sasuke, HMPHED, and began, "My name is Sasuke Uchiha, and I don't have very many likes, which means I have a large number of dislikes. I don't have a dream but I do have an ambition. To kill a certain man and restore my clan." Kakashi sighed as Sakura blushed at both his ambition and how cool he was. "Alright Blondie, you're up," he said pointing to Naruto. Naruto paused for a moment, and then, once again following the advice of Kyuubi, simply shrugged and said, "Naruto Uzumaki." After a few moments of silence, Kakashi asked, Well what? Are you going to finish?" "I did." "No you didn't, all you gave was your name." "But isn't that the same amount of information you gave Kakashi-sensei?" Kakashi once again sighed, and decided to let it slide for a bit, as Sakura was berating Naruto for trying to be cooler than her Sasuke-kun. "So I have a brooding avenger, an annoying fangirl, and a petty blonde. I'm screwed." "Well now that we're introduced, at this point Sakura just, HMPHED, let me tell you about your next test." "What do you mean Kakashi-sensei? I thought we already passed our genin test," asked Sakura. "Well Sakura, that was just to weed out the hopeless. This next test is to sift out those with actual potential, and has a 66% failure rate. This test will take place at Training Ground 7 at around 7 o'clock tomorrow, don't be late. Oh, and you probably shouldn't eat breakfast or else you'll throw up." Yan-e. The silver-haired Junin then disappeared in a swirl of leaves with an evil chuckle, leaving the three of them with their own thoughts. HMPH, I'll no doubt pass this test. These losers probably won't and then I'll be apprenticed to a Junin and I'll get strong enough to kill him. I don't care if Naruto passes, I just want to be with my Sasuke-kun. I really hope I don't have to do all this crap again. Too many life or death struggles are bad for you. Speak for yourself. Somewhere in town, walking around, Naruto was simply wondering how to pass the time. "What do you think Kyuubi?" "Well you could go shopping for clothes, or do that clone thing the decrepit old man was talking about." "Hey Gigi is not a decrepit old man, Datbeo. Whatever just do something, you're boring me." Naruto then walked into a shop called Higarashi's, considered by many to be the best place in town for ninja supplies. "Hello, can I help you?" asked the girl behind the counter. Yeah, can you direct me to the ninja clothing section?" "Not if that's what you're going to wear. It's in the back just past that rack of swords. If you need anything I'm Tenten." Naruto, after grumbling about how no one appreciated the color orange, thought for a moment and just couldn't help himself. "What's your name if I don't need anything?" After dodging several kunai, he made it to the clothes section and started picking stuff out. After about 10 minutes he walked up to the counter and placed down several sets of the same outfit. Black shinobi pants, black shinobi sandals, with a dark green camo jacket, and an orange sash. He just couldn't completely give up the orange, along with a new set of kunai and shuriken. He didn't buy any shirts since the Kyuubi decided that the black undershirts he usually wore would suffice. "Is that all?" asked Tenten. "Unless you think there's something that could help me train," said Naruto. "We have some weights if you'd like some." So Naruto picked some arm and leg weights as well as a vest, all of which were adjustable. Then after paying for everything, Naruto took the clothes to his apartment, changed, put on just enough weight to make it hard to move and went to go train for a bit, since it was only around noon. 2. Random training ground. Naruto was wondering of what to do when Kyuubi told him, why not send a clone or two to the old man and ask him for one of those exercises, and go send a couple to the library for some books. But books suck. They're boring. Perhaps I phrased it wrong Kit. Send about 10 clones to the library now. Although, you should probably henge them so nobody wonders why there are 10 of you at the library. Fine you stupid fox. About 3 hours later over 100 Naruto clones were lining up with their own separate trees, all had bruises and scratches, and all were panting. Another 100 clones were working on controlling the black blood. All the while that this was happening, the real Naruto was simply working on his body, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, laps, punching and kicking a training log, and throwing kunai and shuriken. This was the scene that Iruka walked in on as he was about to take Naruto for some ramen. Wow, He only heard about it yesterday and he's already using the Kage Bunshin shadow clone to help him train. He's going to be terrifying in his prime. Hey Naruto. How about we get that ramen I promised you and you can tell me about your new sensei? Sure Uruka-sensei, just let me do something, he responded as he turned back to his clones. Alright, if you're almost out of chakra, dispel. The rest of you henge and go to the library and just read whatever. At this point most of the clones dispelled, leaving only around 10 with the original Naruto and those at the library, giving them a massive case of memory overload and a huge headache. Ah, what the hell? Screamed the blonde. Well, that's what happens when you get several weeks worth of memories in a single second. Explained Uruka. So dispel slowly next time, right? Yeah. Naruto's apartment next day. Naruto was about to leave, when Kyuubi asked, Kit, why haven't you eaten anything? Well, Kakashi-sensei told us not to since we would puke. No, he suggested you not eat. There is a rather large difference. Besides, if he is going to work you as hard as he said, then you're going to throw up regardless of whether or not you have something in your stomach, and if he's as late as he was yesterday then anything you eat now will have been mostly digested by then. I suppose you have a rather good point, Kyuubi. Do you think I should send some clones to the library now? Sure, Kit. You should also leave a number here to practice wall walking and then ceiling walking. Training ground. Hello Sakura-chan, Tem. Said Naruto casually. Dobi, what are you wearing? Asked Sasuke. Yeah Naruto. Stop trying to impress me. It's not going to work. Sasuke is my one and only. Yelled Sakura. Why is the first thing you think when you see me doing something different, is that I'm trying to impress you? Are you really that full of yourself? How could I not have noticed? Because you're a moron. Because that's the usual reason, replied Sakura smugly. Naruto shrugged, not able to deny the truth behind the words and simply said, I felt like a change. I'm a ninja now, so I should at least look the part. Whatever Dobi, new clothes or not, you're still going to fail this test. Once a loser always a loser. Naruto shrugged again and sat in the shade to work on his blood control, which with the work of his clones had increased dramatically. 3.5 hours later. Training ground. Yo, said the silver-haired Junin. You're late, screeched Sakura. Hey, well my alarm clock was broken, he said as he pulled one out of his hip pouch which was working perfectly, and a pair of bells. Alright, your job is to get these 2 bells from me before noon, which is an hour and a half away. If you can't get a bell in that time, you will be tied to a stump and I will eat your lunch in front of you. As Sakura and Sasuke's stomach growled, all 3 genin had the same thought. So that's why he didn't want us to eat. Everyone noticed that Naruto's stomach hadn't growled and stared at him. Naruto, for the umpteenth time that day, shrugged and said, it was only a suggestion. You only have to get 1 bell. There are only 2, so one of you will definitely be tied to the stump, and the person who doesn't take a bell fails. So at least one of you will be sent back to the academy. If you want, you can use shuriken and kunai, you won't succeed unless you're actively trying to kill me. Said the Junin much to the shock of the 3 genin. But, you'll be in danger. Shuriken and kunai are lethal weapons. Shouted the smartest member of the team, Sakura. I highly doubt that. In fact, I'm pretty sure you're more in danger of hurting yourselves with those pointy objects than you are of hurting me. He replied cheerily. At this the 3 genin were seething and ready to attack the man. He let the statement hang in the air, just to get that extra juicy dose of weak killer intent from his genin. Now, begin. As he said this, all 4 of them jumped in different directions, with Kakashi going to the middle of the clearing. A rather nice breeze began to blow across the training field, the Junin looked towards the forest. Not bad. I can sense them of course, but they could probably hide from any genin to low-level Chunin opponent. As he thought this he felt a presence behind him and turned to see Naruto just standing there nonchalantly. Or not. You know that you're supposed to be hiding, right? Wondered the Junin. Something tells me that even if I tried to hide from you, I wouldn't be able to. I mean you are a Junin for a reason. If a genin could sneak up on you, then you suck at your job. Said the boy to the Junin. Thanks for bringing up that point, Kyuubi. Thought the boy to his demon. No problem, Kit, though I am going to have to stop spoon-feeding you the answers. Said the Kyuubi. Oh, you caught that? Asked Kakashi. There's also no way that a fresh from the academy genin could so much as touch you without a direct line to Lady Luck, so something else is going on. I don't know what that something else is, but there you go. Impressive, he figured about half of it out. I'll have to silence him before he can tell the others, thought Kakashi. As a Junin sensei, I am supposed to teach the 3 basic shinobi arts. Lesson 1, Taijutsu, he told Naruto as he placed one of his hands into his hip pouch. Isn't Taijutsu hand-to-hand combat? So why would you be reaching for a weapon? Asked Naruto. A weapon? Aren't you cocky? You are nowhere near the level required for me to use a weapon on you. Replied Kakashi as he pulled out an orange book with the title, Ika Ika Paradise. Sensei. Why do you have a book? Asked the confused as all hell genin. Why, so that I can figure out what happens in the end, responded the silver-haired Cyclops. With this blatant disrespect, Naruto proceeded to pull out 2 kunai and shuriken and throw them at the man. He then pulled out another kunai and charged as Kakashi caught one of his kunai, blocked the rest of the projectiles with it, and then dropped it. When he reached the Junin, Naruto quickly tried a horizontal slice to cut the man's head off, which was even more quickly ducked under. Naruto then twisted his body in order to heel kick the man, which Kakashi dodged by moving to his left. Naruto then took another swipe with the kunai only for the man to jump backwards. Naruto used the momentum for his swipe in order to spin full circle to increase the power when he threw his kunai. But no one was there. All of a sudden Sakura burst out of the bushes screaming, Naruto, behind you. At this Kakashi started saying, Tula, before getting interrupted by 4 black spikes shooting out of Naruto's back. Shit, he has way more control over it today than he did yesterday. Kakashi screamed in his mind. What were you saying, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Naruto, before getting curb-stomped into the river. Well, that didn't go as planned, thought Naruto to himself underneath the water. What the hell did you expect? You said it yourself, you wouldn't be able to lay a finger on that guy. So what am I supposed to do? Naruto thought back as he used chakra to stick to the bottom of the pond. Think about what he said, there are 2 bells but 3 of you, which would be a 66% pass rate, but yesterday he said it was 9 out of 27, which is 33%. That means that either only 1 of each team will pass, or 3 out of 9 teams of 3 will pass. Now, what does that mean? How the hell should I know? The only thing I can think of is that we are supposed to work together. But, having only 2 bells would make it so that we would fight. Exactly, Kit, what better way to defeat your enemies than to pit them against each other? You may have a point there, responded the blonde as he ceased using chakra and started to swim to the surface. Did he drown Naruto? Was the combined thought of the 3 people above the water as Naruto hadn't surfaced in over a minute. All of a sudden a number of shuriken began to shoot out at Kakashi, which he simply caught. So you were simply trying to get me to lower my guard, thinking that you had drowned? Asked the man. Not really, I was just thinking, and I think I may have figured out the true nature of this test. Oh, and what's that? I really don't see the need to tell you, responded the whiskered genin as he charged the man with what appeared to be a staff made of his blood. As the 2 were having their conversation, a Naruto came up on Sasuke and Sakura at the same time and said the same thing. We need to work together. Whatever Dobi, I don't need dead weight, and you'll just hold me back, said Sasuke, as he went off to find a good place to fight Kakashi, leaving the clone to dispel itself. No way in hell, Naruto. The only one I'll work with is Sasuke-kun, screeched Sakura as she went off into the forest to get away from another Naruto clone, who also dispelled itself. Well, what do you know, he really did figure it out, thought Kakashi as he dispelled the clone that had been distracting him. What to do, what to do? What do you think, Kyuubi? Asked Naruto from his position in a clearing. Responded the fox. After having a rather pleasant discussion about which type of meat is the best, Naruto said pork while Kyuubi said rabbit. They hear a scream. Looks like Sakura is out of the running, thought Naruto to the Kyuubi. Kyuubi commanded Naruto. Searching through the forest, Naruto felt a large flare of chakra. Satema's fighting too, huh? I'll find Sakura first and then go scrape him off the forest floor. Soon enough they come upon an unconscious Sakura, and began shaking her to get her awake. Sakura-chan, you need to get up, we need to work together. Soon enough, Sakura began to stir. As she was waking up she started to mumble and then without warning, pounced on Naruto, screaming, "Sasuke-kun." After realizing what was going on, she immediately let go and slapped Naruto. "Naruto, what are you doing, you pervert? Stop trying to feel me up while I'm unconscious," she scolded. "What did I do? I was shaking your shoulder trying to wake you up when you jumped on me." And indignant blonde shouted back. "Whatever, Sasuke-kun. Now look what you did, you distracted me so I would lose track of Sasuke-kun and he would die, so that you wouldn't have competition, didn't you?" She screeched, accused it of him. "I've heard blondes are stupid, but I guess they only hold second place when the pinkets are involved. I was trying to wake you up, Datbeo," insisted the blonde as Sakura ran off into the woods. Well, that was a dud deal. He mused to himself, waiting for something to happen. "Ah, Sasuke-kun is just ahead. Sigh, let's go check it out, Kyuubi. I say let them stew in their own filth." Naruto then proceeded to walk over to where he heard the voice from while arguing with the fox. When they reached the clearing, Naruto and Kyuubi stared, and stared, and stared, and then burst out in hysterical laughter at the scene in front of them. 3. It's a good thing Pinky is wearing pants or duck ass would be getting one hell of a view. After Naruto had calmed down, he made a few clones to help him dig Sasuke out while they talked. "Now do you believe me when I say we need to work together?" asked Naruto. "Whatever, Dobi, I don't need you," responded Sasuke, free down to his sternum. "Listen Tem, we need to work together. How many two-man teams have you ever heard of? The Sannin, the Ino-Shika-Cho trio, even the fourth had a team. Why would they stick us in a team of 3 just to tear us apart?" shouted the blonde as he dug up Sasuke's waist. I suppose Dobi," responded Sasuke as got out of the hole after his teammate finished digging him up. "Now let's wake up Sakura." After about 10 minutes, the two of them succeeded in getting Sakura out of La La Land, and after another 5, they got her to stop crying and off Sasuke. It was at that point that Naruto explained his reasoning to Sakura. She at first didn't say anything, looked at Sasuke, nodded to herself, and attacked the blonde. "What the hell are you doing?" screamed the blonde as he jumped into a tree. "There's no way that Baka, Naruto, would ever think up something like that, so that means you have to be Kakashi-sensei. If you're going to henge into someone you should at least act like them," she shouted as she started throwing kunai and shuriken at him. "They've got a point, you know," observed Kyuubi. "Shish, shut the hell up. Sakura-chan, relax. It's me," shouted Naruto as he dodged and swerved Sakura's attacks, only to be hit by a lucky shot. It was as Naruto was on the ground nursing a gash in his arm, when the bell went off. 5 minutes later, it was an awkward silence that the 3 genin potentials shared as Kakashi walked up to them, with Sakura tied to a post, Sasuke sitting there, and Naruto with his arm wrapped in bandages. What the hell was that? Kakashi near about screamed at the 3 of them. This was a total disaster. "Sasuke, you decided that the others were worthless and would only bring you down, and then when Naruto was under attack, you did nothing to help him. Sakura, you did absolutely nothing but try to suck up to Sasuke, and Naruto, you tried to do everything by yourself. Naruto did figure out the test, but I need to see actual teamwork, not just talk. Let me ask you something, do you think this is a game? You make me ashamed to be called shinobi. If I had my way, you would be dropped from the program, but I'll give you one more shot, and that's it. Eat your lunches," but Sakura doesn't get any. And with that the man left the 3 of them with an awkward silence. "So what now?" asked Sakura. "Here, Sakura-chan, I ate breakfast so I shouldn't be too affected by not eating, and we all need our strength," responded the blonde as he held out his bento. "Here," Sasuke said suddenly as he too offered some of his bento box to Sakura, saying, "We can all share, that way we all get to eat some food. And besides, what better way to show teamwork than to feed a starving comrade?" As the 2 males were taking turns feeding the girl, a huge cloud of smoke poofed into existence and out of it Kakashi appeared. You, he screamed, effectively making the 3 genin crap themselves. "You, pass, 3. Kakashi finished with a smile, getting a WTF face from all of them. "Huh," was the combined intelligent response. "You pass. You are the first to disobey me and feed their comrade, and a true ninja must see underneath the underneath." said the silver-haired man as he walked to the stone in front of the posts. This stone has a list of heroes. It is a list of those who lost their lives in the line of duty. The names of all my friends are on this stone. Remember, those who disobey the rules are trash, but those who don't care about and abandon their comrades are lower than that. As he was talking, the 3 children were hanging on every word like a lifeline. He's awesome. Now that concludes the training for today. Meet me here at 7 a.m. Tomorrow we begin our duties as Team 7. The Junin shouted as he gave the 3 a thumbs up. Yeah, screamed Sakura and Naruto. Hokage's office 1 month later. The past month became rather routine for Naruto. Wake up, send several shadow clones to library, train with other shadow clones in control, meet up with team, do teamwork exercises for a few hours, eat, do a mission, train some more, go home, eat, go to bed, sleep. Wash, rinse, and repeat. Naruto once more followed the fox's advice and started pumping as much blood as he could into a pair of sealing scrolls, which led to an incident where he had to go to the hospital from lack of blood. With his exercises in control of both his chakra and blood, he is now able to make rather complex shapes for longer periods of time, however the more complex the less time he can control it. The 3rd Hokage was sitting at his desk once again reading the report on Naruto's blood sample. Chapter 3, Mission to Wave. Hello. Me again. Once more I have nothing else to do, so I'll go ahead and update. Though since my laptop is broken I have to use a computer at the university library, after today I won't be able to update for a while. I feel as though I should have said this sooner. Naruto looks exactly the same as in canon, except for the new clothes, and since he's 2 years older than the others he's a few inches taller than in canon, which would put him on the same level as Sasuke. Just a reminder, if you want a particular anime arc, a certain number of people have to ask for it in time for the arc. Joao XD, no harem. Ryujin 96, that's a good idea, and it was only the first few days of their partnership, and Kyuubi felt that Naruto needed a serious crash course in get serious. Hello, human speech. Hello, human thought. Hello, demon speech. Hello, demon thought. Jutsu, jutsu. You leave tomorrow at 7 for your mission. Good luck. Oh, and Naruto, Kakashi, stay here, I have something I want to give you, said the Hokage as he held up a couple of copies of the medical report. As the others left for the day, the 2 walked up to the Hokage's desk and accepted the files. After a few minutes of reading, Kakashi put his down and simply said, well, that's interesting. So does that mean that I could control people with my blood? Asked the rather nervous genin. In theory, yes, you could also halt all the blood flow in their bodies, or simply tear it out of them in an instant. Though that would be a little gruesome, said Kakashi. After a second's thought, Naruto asked, Gigi, could I ask for a favor? Oh, and what would that be? When we are done with this mission, could we head to the ruins of Uzumaki? The tension in the room becoming immediately palpable, the Hokage activated the privacy seals, and urgently asked, how do you know of that place? Well, about 2 weeks ago, one of my clones came across the term while reading a book on the elemental nations. Flashback no jutsu. Man, I'm bored, grumbled one of the Naruto clones disguised as a middle-aged man, while he flipped through the glossary of a random geography book he pulled off the shelf. Let's see. Oni no Kuni, interesting but no. Shimo no Kuni, don't really like the cold. Tori no Kuni, too many nobles. Tasuki no Kuni, never really thought of the moon, always asleep when it comes out. Sum no Kuni, nah, Kiba's mom is terrifying. Uzu no Kuni, hey Uzumaki, Uzu no Kuni, sounds interesting. He thought as he began to once again flip through the pages. Let's see what the book has to say. Uzu no Kuni. Located off the coast of Hai no Kuni, and home of Uzumaki and the infamous Uzumaki clan, known for their vibrant red hair and powerful chakra. Also known as the Village of Longevity, due to its inhabitants' notoriously long lives. The shinobi of this village were also notorious for their skills in fuinjutsu, which allowed them to do things with chakra thought impossible beforehand. The village was well known for its relationship with Konohagakure, with the Uzumaki being one of the 3 clans which helped found it along with the Senju and the Uchiha, as well as for the Uzumaki clan's relationship with the Senju clan, with the first Hokage marrying one of its members. In fact, this relationship between villages led to the Uzushiogakure symbol being put on the flak jackets worn by Chunin and Junin level shinobi of Konohagakure as a symbol of trust and friendship between the villages. Unfortunately, the village was destroyed and its people, if not wiped out, then scattered to the winds, during the Second Shinobi War, which has had a major impact on the world of shinobi and fuinjutsu, which may never be recovered. My clan was famous. They had an entire village. Why has nobody told me about this? Is this why I don't have a family? So the spiral is the symbol of another village, huh? Fuinjutsu, maybe I should give it a shot. I wonder if I could ever visit the place where my ancestors lived. The place which could have been my home. Thought the clone as he dispelled. Flashback no Jutsu Kai. After that, I decided to learn some more about fuinjutsu and Uzushiogakure. I've actually been able to make some stuff, but this is it. Explained Naruto as he pulled out 7 small sealing scrolls, 2 of which had his kokutsu sealed inside, and a mass of exploding notes. Naruto, how long have you been able to make those things? Inquired the Hokage. Well, the notes are really easy to make, oddly enough, but I've only been able to make the sealing scrolls for a couple of days. Said the blonde. If that's so, then how did you seal your kokutsu inside those 2 scrolls? Asked Kakashi as he pointed to the 2 in question. I bought them, explained Naruto, but they were really expensive. Gamma Chant 1 was almost completely dead, and I didn't really seal all that much into them, only about 7 liters each. Well, I don't see why I shouldn't let you go, but I also don't see why I should either. Tell you what, if you promise to bring back everything you find for myself and a seal master to look at, as well as giving your teammates each one of your scrolls and some of the notes, then you can go. I'll also make whatever you bring back an Uzumaki clan secret so you don't have to give it to the council. I also have some scrolls on fuinjutsu if you'd like to have them, said Hiruzen. I promise, and thanks Gigi, said Naruto as he headed for the door. When he was gone, the Hokage called out, Neko. And the cat-masked woman appeared. Yes, Hokage-sama. What have you observed about Naruto's new ability? He seems to have a high degree of control over it, as I have seen him make some very inspired shapes. I have also watched him make several different weapons such as a claw, a katana, a tanto, a scythe, and an odachi. He also made a shield, and is apparently able to make his blood harden both over and under his skin to make a form of armor, with which he was able to break one of his clone's hands. He can control the blood up to 30 yards, though he can't make very complex shapes at that distance. Interesting, it would appear that he has been taking his training rather seriously. I wonder how he has been doing on his tree walking. Mused the Hokage. Naruto knows how to tree walk? Asked an incredulous Kakashi. Yes, I told him how the day after he graduated. Wait, how are you unaware of his abilities? What have you been teaching them? Asked the now infuriated Hokage. Teamwork. Kakashi timidly responded. Asked. Kakashi, I'm not disparaging you as a teacher, but you need to actually teach them something. Shouted the Anbu. They are my students, and I will decide what to teach them. What good are fancy jutsu if you don't have the teamwork to back up your squad mates? Shouted a pissed-off Kakashi, angry that his competence had been called into question. So says the man who copied over 1,000. What good is teamwork if you don't have the necessary skill to back it up? Honestly, he does no jutsu, and if what you're saying is true, then he learned them on his own. Scrolls are teaching him more than you are. Shouted the equally furious Neko. Kakashi, you need to actually teach your students more than just how to be good squad mates. After they pass the Chunin exams, they may never be on the same squad again. Said the Hokage in an even tone. Kakashi simply huffed and left. So what jutsu did you see Naruto performing? Asked Hiruzen. Well, he knows a few wind techniques such as futon, Datapa wind style, Great Breakthrough, and futon, Yuha Sho wind style, Beast Wave Palm. As well as a few earth jutsu such as Doden, Ganchiro no Jutsu earth style, Earth Pillar Prison, and Doden, Doryuso earth style, Rising Stone Spears. Interesting, perhaps I should get Jiraiya teach Naruto a few things if Kakashi doesn't. Like what? A few more shadow clone techniques like Shuriken Cage Bunshin, Shuriken Shadow Clone, Kunai Cage Bunshin, Kunai Shadow Clone, and Bunshin Daibakua Clone Great Explosion, some more seals, and how to control his tenant's chakra. Responded the old man. I just hope Kakashi comes to his senses and actually decides to teach them. So do I, Neko. So do I. Next day main gates 7 a.m. Hello Tazuna. Hey Sakura-chan, I've got something for you. Said Naruto as he walked up to the gate. What could you possibly have for us that would be of use Dobi, and where's your stuff? Asked a skeptical Sasuke. This is going to be a long mission and I'm not letting you borrow anything. Yeah Naruto. Yelled Sakura, agreeing with Sasuke for the sake of agreeing with Sasuke. Here. Said Naruto as he tossed them each a scroll. A scroll. Wow, you want us to read. Thanks Naruto. Drawled Sakura, voice dripping with sarcasm only the biggest of morons wouldn't catch. It's a sealing scroll. Said Naruto, slightly irritated. You use it to store things so that you don't actually have to carry as much, allowing you to travel faster and without as much strain. I have a few others, one of which has all my stuff in it. Wow Naruto, where did you get it? Asked Sakura. Naruto shrugged and said, I made it. HMPH, yeah right Dobi, if you made this then it's not going to work. You probably just bought it somewhere and said you made it so you don't seem as useless. Jabbed Sasuke. Yeah Naruto. Shouted Sakura again. If you don't want them then give them back. Said Naruto. No way Naruto, these things are valuable. Shouted Sakura. They are. Asked Naruto, I just thought the store where I got my first two was really overpriced. Well if you did make them you could sell them. Said Sasuke. What about these? Asked Naruto, pulling out around 100 explosive tags. What the hell are you going to do with all of those? Screamed a panicking Sakura. I don't know. Set him off. Responded Naruto. Where? The Hokage mountain. Sakura was now getting slightly hysterical. Do you guys want some? Asked Naruto, not really caring for the slight mental breakdown his teammate was going through. Sure, said Sakura, calming down in less than a second. Sasuke just shrugged and held out his hand. After giving them each 30 tags, Naruto sat down near the gates to read one of the scrolls on Fuinjutsu the Hokage gave him. Main gate 730. Hello everyone, said Kakashi nonchalantly as he walked up to the gates. You're late, screamed Sakura. Sorry I was packing and I didn't notice the time, said Kakashi apologetically. Then you should have packed yesterday, said Naruto as Sasuke nodded. Is everybody ready to get going? Asked the Junin, completely ignoring the blonde. No Kakashi-sensei, I was waiting for you to show up so I could ask you to wait for a few minutes while I fed my fish. Deadpanned Naruto. Anyways do you want one? Asked Naruto holding out a sealing scroll. I don't see why not, said the silver-haired man after a moment's consideration. As he sealed his pack into the scroll, he turned to his team and client and said, Alright if we leave now, we should only have to camp once and we'll be there by noon tomorrow. Sasuke, Sakura, we have an addendum to our mission. What is it Kakashi-sensei? Asked a nervous Sakura as Tazuna sweated in the background. Something which did not go unnoticed by the three male shinobi. When we are finished with the mission we are going on a side trip to a place called Uzushihyogakur. Which made Tazuna confusingly sigh with visible relief. We're going to an allied village. Asked the confused Pinkett. No, we're going to its ruins. The village was destroyed in the early years of the Second Great Shinobi War. So why are we going there? Asked Sasuke finding the whole conversation pointless. Because I asked a favor of Gigi. Explained Naruto. What do you mean Naruto? Asked Sakura. I asked if we could go there after our mission was over with since it wouldn't be too far out of our way. Why would you want to go there? Because I want to see my home. Said Naruto cryptically. What do you mean, your home, Dobi? Konoha is your home. I'll give you 3 guesses as to who said that. It's the village where my clan came from, said Naruto. What clan? You don't have a clan, you're an orphan. Said Sakura. Naruto sighed, as he pulled out the book he found 2 weeks ago, turned to the pages on Uzu, and held it out to Sakura. As she read, with Sasuke reading over her shoulder, their faces went through several changes, not the same ones at the same time, of course, confusion, shock, disbelief, disdain, anger, fear, and fascination being some of them. What? Naruto's clan helped found Konoha. Why weren't we taught this in class? If this is any indication then I seriously need to stop harassing him before he goes postal on me. HMPH, whatever. Couldn't have been that strong if they were wiped out. Well, now that that's settled, let's get on with the mission. Random location on the road about 5 hours later. Team 7 was on the road to Wave's border. Naruto took the lead with Sasuke, Sakura and Tazuna in the middle. Kakashi took the rear, making sure no one snuck up on them. "Nay, sensei, does Wave have shinobi or a cage like Konoha?" asked a curious Haruno. "No, Sakura. Wave is more of giant port than an actual village. They don't have a shinobi academy, therefore no shinobi. Unfortunately, it also means that nuke nin tend to hide out there," said Kakashi without a care in the world while reading his book. Sakura paled when she thought of fighting renegade ninja. Sasuke just smirked in anticipation. Only the 5 great nations are allowed to call their leader a kage or shadow. Hono Kuni, the land of fire, has Konohagakure, the village hidden in the leaves, and the Hokage, or fire shadow. Kase no Kuni, the land of wind, has Sunagakure, the village hidden in the sand, and the Kase cage, or wind shadow. Kaminari no Kuni, the land of lightning, has Kumogakure, the village hidden in the clouds, and the Raikage, or lightning shadow. Tsuchi no Kuni, the land of earth, has Iwagakure, the village hidden in the stones, and the Tsuchikage, or the earth shadow. And finally there's Mizu no Kuni, the land of water, with Kurigakure, the village hidden in the mist, and the Mizukage, or the water shadow," said Naruto, who was also reading a book like his teacher, but it wasn't a smut one. Soon the group came across a puddle. "That's weird. Why is there a puddle there? We haven't had rain in days, it's a hot dry day, and we're nowhere near a water source. Plus the ground is dry and dusty, so it should be absorbed into the ground by now." Realizing that something must be up, he looked back at Kakashi and made the slightest of motions with his head, gesturing towards the puddle. Kakashi, astounded that Naruto noticed, simply nodded his head almost imperceptibly. "Let's see what you can do, Blondie." Suddenly 2 people with the scratched headbands that signified they were missing nins of Kurigakure came out of said puddle and wrapped Kakashi in an odd chain. "One down," said the one with his right hand in a strange gauntlet, as they tore Kakashi to shreds. To be continued. Immediately. After they killed the Junin, righty went after Naruto as lefty went after Tazuna and Sakura. With Naruto. Just as righty was about to impale Naruto, he held up both his arms, elbows and wrists touching, forearms facing out with his palms pointing at himself, and said, "Kokutsu Tate Black Blood Shield." And with that, a channels the length of his forearms opened on each of his arms, spewing out black blood to make a circle that was around 3 feet wide and 1 inch thick. As righty's gauntlet bounced off the shield with a loud clang, Naruto put both palms on the black mass and said, "Kokutsu Kusari," black blood chain, making a large number of tendrils come off of it and wrapping around the missing nin. With Sakura and Tazuna, with lefty barreling down on her, she did the only thing she could think of doing and placed herself in between Tazuna and the left-handed missing nin. After she did this, Sasuke appeared out of nowhere and kicked the man in the head. As he was sent flying, the Uchiha genin went through a series of hand seals and finished with Tiger and screamed the name of his jutsu, Kaden, Gokaku no Jutsu, fire style, Grand Fireball Jutsu. After the fire died down, Sasuke turned back to his companions and wondered why Sakura looked so horrified. Turning back, he saw Lefty with his claw 6 inches away from his chest. Unable to react, he could only stand there as his life flashed before his eyes. "No, I can't die here. I still need to revive my clan. I need to kill him." All of a sudden the attack looked to be in slow motion. As he was wondering this strange new occurrence, Kakashi came back from the apparent dead and caught Lefty in a headlock, knocking the man out. "Good work, team," said the cycloptic Junin. "Sakura, I'm proud of you protecting the client. Naruto, I'm good work capturing Gozu. And Sasuke, it looks like you unlocked your Sharingan," said Kakashi, praising all of his students. "The Dobi was able to capture one and I almost die. That's pathetic. I need to get stronger. With my new Sharingan, I can get strong enough to kill him, so I guess it's not so bad a trade-off," thought Sasuke as he glared at the missing nin writhing on the ground caught in Naruto's Kokutsu Kusari black blood chain. "Kakashi-sensei, you're alive?" asked Sakura. "Of course, Sakura. Something like that would never kill me," said Kakashi, playfully pointing at a pile of wood that signified a substitution 3. "But why pretend you weren't when those 2 attacked? I wanted to see who their target was, explained Kakashi. Ninjas attacking ninjas is one thing, ninjas attacking civilians is another. He said, turning to Tazuna. We need to talk. As Kakashi and Tazuna were having their conversation, Naruto was simply examining the prisoners. Those are some pretty interesting gauntlets, said the Kyuubi. Perhaps. What about them? Why not take them? 4. Why would I do that? If I want claws, I'll just make them with the kokutsu. Oh. And if you're separated from it? If you're so low on chakra you can hardly stand. Face it, kid, you need a weapon. Isn't that what kunai and shuriken are for? They're not really weapons, more like basic tools. Very well, I'll take them, said Naruto to the fox as he slipped the gauntlets off the missing nins and placed them into a sealing scroll, with the only one noticing being Kakashi. He then turned back to the others as they finished up the conversation. So what do you guys think? Asked Kakashi. We should continue the mission, sensei, said Naruto. I agree with the Dobi, it would look good on our records to have an A- rank as a genin, said Sasuke. And I wouldn't feel right just leaving Tazuna to die, said Sakura. Well, it looks like it's your lucky day, Tazuna, said a cheery Kakashi. Thank you. You have no idea what this means to me, said a relieved bridge builder. Just so you guys know, now that the Chunin level assassins failed, the nest will be stronger, possibly Junin. You will leave them to me and protect the client. Do you understand? Hi Kakashi sensei, coursed the 3 genin. Good, now let's be on our way. Shoreline. As they came up to the beach, Tazuna walked up to a man in a boat and asked, is everything ready? The man simply nodded and motioned for everyone to get into the boat. As they approached the other shore and saw the bridge, Naruto couldn't help but voice everyone's thoughts, albeit rather loudly. Damn, that's a big bridge, Datbeo. As Kakashi admonished the genin, the boat pulled up to the shores of Wave Country, signaling that their boat ride was over. This is where I leave you, Tazuna-san. Good luck, wished the boat driver as he sailed away. Forest clearing. Naruto had just mentally scarred a rabbit, when all of a sudden a huge Zanbato-type blade cleaved through the air and embedded itself into a tree as Kakashi yelled for everyone to get down. Suddenly a man appeared on the handle of the blade, balancing perfectly as he stared as the 5 people on the ground. Sharingan number Kakashi. No wonder the demon brothers lost. If you don't mind, I'm here to kill the old man, so just hand him over, he said as Tazuna paled. Zabuza Momochi, demon of the bloody mist. Bloody mist that gives me an idea, what are you doing here? He said as he pulled up his Hite 8 to reveal his Sharingan. I already get to see the Sharingan, I'm honored. I'm here to kill the old man, said Zabuza as he and his sword disappeared, only to reappear on the surface of the water. Looks like I get to have a little fun. Kurigakure no Jutsu, hiding in the mist. All of a sudden the area was flooded with a thick white mist, with Kakashi yelling at his students to protect Tazuna and not to enter the fight. Then the voice of the demon rang out through the mist. 8 points. There are 8 points on the human body which guarantee a kill. Larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, subclavian artery, kidneys, and heart. 8 points and only 5 people. Which to choose, said Zabuza as his killer intent flooded the area. I can't breathe, thought Sasuke as he unknowingly inched a kunai towards his own throat, so this is a real ninja. The waiting is worse than the actual confrontation. It almost makes you want to end it all just to make the feeling stop. Sasuke, relax, said Kakashi, turning towards his student. I won't allow my comrades to die. I'll protect you with my life. Trust me. Well, that's good enough for me, said Zabuza as he stood in the middle of the group poised to strike. Shit, thought Kakashi as he rushed Zabuza and stabbed him in the stomach, causing him to dissolve into water. Water clone, exclaimed Kakashi, giving Naruto another great idea. You didn't think it would be that easy, did you? Asked the demon, sliding his own kunai into Kakashi's liver, causing him to burst into water as well as the cold edge of a kunai pressed against Zabuza's throat. It's over, said Kakashi. Zabuza just laughed as he dissolved into water, with the real one appearing behind Kakashi, swinging his sword. Kakashi ducked a swing of the blade but couldn't get out of the way in time to stop himself from getting kicked into the lake. What's with this water? It's so heavy, almost as if it's crap. Suiro no Jutsu, water prison jutsu, said Zabuza as he trapped Kakashi in a sphere of water, and several water clones appeared. What do we do? What do we do? Screamed a frantic Sakura. We free Kakashi-sensei, that's what we do. Sasuke, you get the clones, Sakura, you protect Tazuna, and I'll free Kakashi-sensei. Said Naruto as he unrolled 2 scrolls with the kanji for blood on them. Oh, what is the brat going to do? Wondered Zabuza. Fuinjutsu Kai. Kokutsu, sealing technique release, black blood. Shouted Naruto as 14 pints of blood shot out of the scrolls. What the hell? He has a bloodline. Oh, this is not good. Haku, you better come through for me here. Kokutsu Mori, black blood spear, said Naruto as the blood formed onto several lances which shot at Zabuza. Damn, thought the demon as he was forced to move to avoid getting skewered, freeing Kakashi. The blood then came back to Naruto, surrounding him in a cloud, some of it forming into a pair of katanas. A swordsman. Not a lot of experience, but he's got latent talent. With Kakashi now free, he shot at Zabuza and they both used the Suiryuden no Jutsu, Water Dragon Jutsu, another good idea, thought Naruto, on each other and then engaged in a fierce Kenjutsu battle, Zabuza with his Kubikiri Bocho, and Kakashi with a kunai. After it became obvious that neither would win, they each backed off and began performing the exact same hand seals. How is he doing this? Thought Zabuza. It's like he can foretell my every move. Right, Zabuza? Taunted Kakashi. What? He read my mind. You bastard. You are nothing but a monkey, copying everything I do. I am the original, the genuine article. Suddenly a spectral Zabuza appeared behind Kakashi doing the same motions as the 2 Junins. What? What is that? That's me, but how? Is this a genjutsu? Zabuza asked himself, causing a brief moment of hesitation that allowed Kakashi to finish his jutsu. Sweeten. Kaibakufu no Justu, great waterfall. Then a swirling vortex appeared around Kakashi and shot at Zabuza with tremendous force, careening him into a tree, which Kakashi then pinned him to with kunai, and landed on. How? Can you see the future? Stammered the demon. Yes. And I see your death. Said Kakashi. Then Zabuza's neck was suddenly pierced by a few senbon and he fell limp. What do you know? You were right. Thank you for helping me, I've been hunting him for a while, said a masked person standing in a tree. After Kakashi checked that Zabuza was dead, he told the hunter, alright then, I guess our job is done here, so let's go. As he put his Hite 8 over his eye again. Then the masked man took the body and the sword and left, something which Kakashi found strange. He wasn't able to comment on it though since he collapsed from exhaustion. Tazuna, where's your house? Asked Sakura. About 20 minutes from here. Why? What's wrong with him? Asked a frantic bridge builder. He's exhausted and needs rest, replied Naruto as he picked up his sensei. Tazuna's house. Ah! Screamed Naruto and Sakura as Kakashi's eyes shot open a foot from their own. My head. It feels like I went guys' night out with Van Wilder. Wait, who the hell is Van Wilder? Oh well. That hunter Nin. They took the body. Why would they do that? They're supposed to destroy it then and there. They could have been anxious around the children, but I doubt that. Also those weapons he used. Senbon. Oh crap, Zabuza's still alive, isn't he? We need to up your training. Said Kakashi suddenly, catching his team off guard. What? Why? Asked Naruto. Because Zabuza is still alive. What? How do you know? The hunter Nin, they took the body instead of destroying it right then and there, and they used Senbon, which can easily put someone into a near-death state. One by itself could be a coincidence, but both at the same time is pushing it. We need to assume that Zabuza is alive and plan accordingly. Would a little training really help us? I mean, you're an elite Junin and you barely beat him. Don't worry about it. Why are you trying so hard? Asked a little boy in a white hat. Inari. Give Gigi a hug. Shouted Tazuna as he threw open his arms. Hey Gigi. Inari, say hello to the shinobi who helped me get home safe. But why Gigi? They're just gonna die soon. You little bastard. Shouted Naruto. It's true, you can't defeat Gato or his thugs, you're just gonna die. Deadpanned Inari. We're ninja boy, it'd be pretty embarrassing if we couldn't handle a couple of bandits. Said Kakashi as he helped Sakura and Sasuke hold back a fuming Naruto. Whatever, if you don't want to die I suggest you just leave. Said Inari as he walked up the stairs to his room. Sorry about that. He's had a hard life. Said Tazuna apologetically. It's alright, said Kakashi. Now, We have a big day tomorrow, so get some sleep. Next day, random clearing in the woods. Alright, the first thing I want to talk about is chakra, said the silver-haired Junin. Why? Asked Sasuke. We already know how to use chakra for ninjutsu and things like that. Perhaps, but you're not using it right, admonished Kakashi. What do you mean, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Sakura. What I mean is you aren't using it efficiently. Even if you are able to release a high amount of chakra, unless you control it properly, the jutsu will be weakened or not work in the first place. And by wasting energy, you won't be able to fight as long as you should be and you'll die. So what should we do? Asked Sakura. Learn to control it. And how do we do that? Tree climbing. Seriously. We're doing this now, asked Naruto as he began calmly walking up a tree. How is the Dobi doing that? Asked Sasuke. Chakra, my fine duck-haired friend, Chakra, said Naruto. What do you mean, Naruto? Asked Sakura. You send chakra to your feet and use it to adhere to the wood. Too much and you get blasted off, too little and you don't stick in the first place. Alright then, since you already know how to do this, Naruto, you can do whatever you want today, said Kakashi. What? How does he already know how to do this? Asked Sakura. I asked Gigi how the day we met Kakashi-sensei, said Naruto. Why would he tell you? Asked Sakura. Because I asked, explained Naruto. Hey sensei. Are we going to have a life or death struggle looming over the horizon before every actual lesson? You say something, asked Kakashi as somewhere in Konoha a man with a bowl cut and a green leotard face faltered for seemingly no reason. Kakashi-sensei, can you follow me? There's something I want to talk to you about, inquired Naruto. Random clearing in the woods. Let's see, from that battle I got the idea for 3 jutsu, the Kokutsu Bunshin Back Blood Clone, the Kokutsu Kiri Blood Mist, and the Kokutsu Ketsuryuden Black Blood Dragon Jutsu. I've never made a jutsu before, so I was wondering if you had any ideas, explained Naruto to Kakashi. Well, I would suggest you start with the clone jutsu, since you already know the non-elemental form of it. How do I do that? Wondered the blonde. Simple, said Kakashi. Instead of making a clone out of nothing, you make one with the Kokutsu. And how do I do that? The same way you would make any other type of clone. Perhaps I should teach you Dotenkage Bunshin first and then you can move on to making your Kokutsu clone, said Kakashi. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei, exclaimed Naruto. But what about the other 2? One at a time, Naruto, one at a time, said Kakashi as he pulled out a blank scroll and proceeded to copy down the instructions for the jutsu. Forest clearing morning 3 days later. Naruto was passed out on the ground due to chakra exhaustion due to his working out his frustrations about what Inari said about him not knowing pain. After he had snapped, he left to go practice his Dotenkage Bunshin Earth Sato clone and could now do it effortlessly. He was about to try to use his Kokutsu instead when he collapsed. This was the scene Haku walked in on as the fake hunter Nin was looking for herbs in a pink kimono and hair down, a passed-out blonde not that much younger than the ice user 5 with a leaf hite 8 and several small piles of mud and dirt surrounding him. As Haku knelt beside him and reached out to him, Haku thought, it would be so easy. You're going to catch cold if you sleep out here, said the young ninja, shaking Naruto awake. Naruto, still in his half-sleeping haze, saw the most beautiful face that he had ever seen, and with his heart pounding and his stomach feeling strange, he whispered the first thing that came to his mind. Tenchi 6. As Haku blushed, the fake hunter Nin asked, what are you doing out here? I'm training, said Naruto. Whatever for? You look strong enough already. I need to become stronger though. And why is that? So I can become the best in my village, and to make everyone acknowledge my strength, Datbeo. Do you have someone precious to you? I have several. Why do you ask, miss? I believe fighting for someone who is precious to you can truly make you strong. And how would you know that? Asked a suddenly suspicious Naruto as he narrowed his eyes. Only years of training kept Haku from flinching at his question. Just something I've observed, said Haku nonchalantly. Alright, conceded Naruto, not fully convinced. Well, since you're here, can you help me pick some herbs? They're for a friend of mine, asked Haku, changing the subject. Alright, miss. As they picked the herbs, a comfortable silence hung over them, though neither really knew what to say to the other. After they picked the last of the herbs that Haku needed, Naruto said, goodbye, I hope to see you again, and be careful, times like these it's not safe to walk around alone, miss. I'm sure we'll see each other again soon, Naruto. Oh, and by the way, I'm a boy," said Haku as the disguised nin walked away. "Holy crap, he's hotter than Sakura. Finally found your mate, Kit. This one is at least acceptable. Sorry Kyuubi, I don't swing that way. Though I get the feeling he wasn't telling the whole truth about something. I better follow him." So using the skills that allowed him to paint the Hokage mountain in broad daylight, wearing orange, not get caught until after he was done, and then allowed him to outrun Abu, he followed Haku. Where is he going? There aren't any towns around here. Soon they both reached a dilapidated hut in the woods, which Haku entered after making sure that nobody was around. What could possibly be in there? His friend. But why would he check to see if the coast is clear? Naruto then snuck in after making a cage bunshin and ordering it to follow anyone who came out that wasn't him, and found Zabuza lying in a bed with Haku standing next to it as an angry-looking midget with two bandits yelled at him. "What am I paying you for? You get the job done or I'll dispose of you and find someone who won't be beaten by a bunch of brats. Keep your panties on, Gato. I was unprepared last time, what with Sharingan Kakashi and some brat with a bloodline I've never seen before," said Zabuza. "I don't care if the Hokage himself showed up. You kill that bridge builder or our contract is finished," screamed Gato as he walked out, followed by his samurai bodyguards. "How much longer do we have to keep working for that slime ball? He tends to look at me a little too much," asked Haku. "Until we kill the bridge builder or until something better comes up. He's keeping the hunter nin off our backs, and if we kill him that'll make too much of a fuss." After giving a very feminine giggle, Haku asked, "So which of those kids had the bloodline?" "That was kinda cute," thought Naruto. "The blonde one," replied Zabuza, making Haku stiffen momentarily. "Why, are you interested, little girl?" "Little girl. Haku told me he was a guy." Unless she was lying to protect herself. "A little bit, no, just wondering. I need to report this to Kakashi-sensei," thought Naruto as he left the shack. With the clone. "Okay, boss said to follow anyone who isn't him, so I guess I'll follow the short guy." After a while the short man and his two bodyguards came to a small fortress and he followed them in, thinking, who is this loser? Why would he have such a large and well-defended place? Damn missing nin, it's a good thing I never intended to pay the bastards anyways. Gato thought out loud to himself. And my men will have fun with the girl. Girl, does he mean Haku? Haku is a girl, but why would she tell me she's a guy? Unless she was protecting herself. Thought the clone. You all know your jobs, right? Asked Gato to the shirtless thug. Yeah. When you go to kill Zabuza or anyone else that remains after the attack, we go get Tezuna's family in order to get some leverage on him. Said the thug. Correct. I don't understand why that idiot, demon, actually thinks I'm going to pay him. So much cheaper to hire bandits, though no match for ninjas. Mused Gato. I need to tell the boss this, thought the clone as it went to go find a safe place to dispel in. Tezuna's house. So let me get this straight. After you snapped at our client's grandson and made him cry, you went out into the woods alone and trained until it nearly killed you, and perfected the jutsu, then passed out, only to be awoken by a stranger, and immediately agreed to help them pick herbs, after which they told you they were a guy. Then you went into an enemy base, where you came across this same person with an alive Zabuza and Gato talking about the hit, and then you found out that this, Haku, is actually a girl, while at the same time you had a clone follow Gato who revealed that when Zabuza attacked again he would have two of his thugs attack Tsunai and Inari and then he would put all of us 6 feet under. Is that right? Have I missed anything? Asked an exasperated Cyclops. No, said a sheepish Naruto. I don't know whether to be proud or worried. Both. Why not? How were you able to sneak into both Zabuza's base and Gato's fortress anyways? Asked Kakashi. I don't know, I guess I'm just that good. I mean, I've been sneaking past Anbu and Gigi and the various clans for years and nobody noticed beforehand. With those sneaking skills of his, and if those pranks of his are any indication, his trap-making skills, I'm going to have to recommend him for special Junin or Anbu when he gets a little more experience and makes Chunin. Maybe by then he'll also be a seal master. Anyways, good work Naruto, you may have won us the battle before we even started fighting. At the bridge day of the fight. Who did this to you? Tezuna frantically asked a dying worker. A demon, said the man as he passed away. Well, it looks like we meet again. And all three of your brats are here. Excellent, I've been hoping for a rematch, said Zabuza as he materialized in the mist with Haku next to him wearing her full Hunter Nin battle regalia. Zabuza, wait. We are not your enemies, said Kakashi. Oh, and who is? Asked the swordsman. Gato is. He never planned on paying you. He's planning to wipe out the survivors after our fight to the death. And how do you know this? We have a trusted source on the inside, explained Kakashi. Interesting. Well, how about we give him what he wants? What do you mean? We spar a little and wait for the prick to show up with his army and then play a little game of, who's the better killer? I don't see why not, said Kakashi. So me and you, Haku and your brats. We won't go after the bridge builders since if what you say is true we have no need for him. Why don't you come with us to Konoha? Asked Naruto as he received the memories of the dozen or so clones he left to take care of Gato's bodyguards. What do you mean, brat? Asked Zabuza. Why don't the two of you come to Konoha? You could teach people kenjutsu and Haku could work at the hospital or as a shinobi with her skills. How do you know I'm female? I thought I told you I was a boy. Wondered Haku. I followed you and saw your conversation with Gato about the Hokage and stuff. After the various spars in which Kakashi defeated Zabuza once again and Sakura and Sasuke were taken down, non-lethal of course, and Naruto simply hardened his blood under his skin, making the needles just bounce off of him before destroying the mirrors with his Koketsu Mori black blood lance. Gato came out with his army and revealed his master plan of killing everyone there. He then noticed that no one actually looked all that hurt except for two people on the ground stuck full of needles, but he could see that they were breathing and he wondered what was going on here. Oh, I already knew all that stuff, said Zabuza. What do you mean? These guys told me. Now I suppose it's about time we play who's the better killer, break into your house, steal everything of value, burn the place to the ground and go on to Konoha. Actually, before we go there we're going to the ruins of Uzushiogakure, said Kakashi. Never heard of the place. Why are we going there? It was destroyed in the Second Shinobi War and it might have some of my blonde students' family scrolls and jutsus and things like that. The one with the bloodline. Yeah, but that's a different matter altogether. What do you mean? Hey, impending death, evil businessman, master plan, any of this ringing a bell? Yelled Gato. Oh yeah, I forgot about him, said Zabuza. Looks like there are around 300 of them. Who's the better killer? My favorite game. The short slaughter, you couldn't really call it anything else, except maybe massacre, consisted of Kakashi attacking a huge group of men with a few Kage Bunsen shadow clones while Zabuza and a few Mizu Bunsen water clones focused on Gato. Eventually killing him, which pissed off the bandits who started talking about killing all the men and taking the women, before a crossbow bolt hit the ground in front of them and Inari was shown to be there with around 100 of his fellow villagers, causing the bandits to cut and run before any more of them died. How many you get? Asked Kakashi. 112, replied the mist demon. Damn, I only got 103. Naruto. Do your thing. What do you mean, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Naruto. Remember what your blood analysis said, explained Kakashi as he pointed to the huge pool of blood. Oh, said an understanding blonde as he went around converting the normal blood to his koketsu, though rather queasily as the thought was rather unsettling, which he then sealed evenly into his 2 scrolls. We killed 215 of them, at 5 liters each, that's 1075 liters, divided evenly between 2 scrolls, each of which already had 7 liters inside, and you get 544.5 liters inside each scroll. Nice haul, Naruto, said Kakashi. Thanks, said the still rather green blonde. So what now, Kakashi-san? Asked Haku. We protect Tazuna until the bridge is finished, during which I'll tell the Hokage about you too, then we'll go to Uzu and see what we can find. Tazuna's house next day. Zabuza was currently keeping his promise to the late Gato, and was ransacking the dead man's house for anything of value with a rather large sealing scroll that Naruto made for him on the provision that he be given a 20% cut. After laughing at the audacity of the kid, he accepted and left around noon, and he still hadn't come back yet. Naruto was talking to his sensei about what they might find in Uzu when he suddenly smelled himself and decided to take a bath. He had just opened the door, when suddenly he caught a face full of Haku clad only in a towel, showing him that Haku was most definitely female. After staring at each other for a moment, Haku went red as a beet and screamed. Kya, pervert. Naruto's last conscious thought of that day before he was sent into a wall by Haku's righteous fist of female fury, embarrassment was, Kya. That was kinda cute. Tazuna's house next day. What happened? Asked a bleary Naruto as he woke up propped upside down against a wall. You got knocked the out, that's what happened. Said Sasuke as he placed a bowl of cereal and a glass of orange juice on the floor next to Naruto. Why did that happen? Asked a still slightly concussed blonde. Apparently you didn't knock on the bathroom door as Haku was taking a bath. Explained Sasuke. Remembering the events of the night before, Naruto had to wipe a bit of blood from his nose as he got up to eat the breakfast Sasuke had brought him. So where is everybody? Asked Naruto. A drunken demon, that's either the funniest thing you'll ever see or the most terrifying. Probably a little bit of both, said Sasuke as Naruto finished his breakfast and went downstairs for more. As he entered the kitchen, both Sakura and Haku glared at him and chorused, "Morning pervert." After sighing and mumbling something about accidents, he got a piece of fruit from the bowl on the table and asked Zabuza, "So, what did you get?" "A lot of money, some artifacts, a few weapons. Don't worry, you'll get your cut, damn brat." "Hey Zabuza, can you teach me that hidden mist jutsu? I want to see if I can use my kokutsu instead of water." "An interesting idea, brat. What do I get out of it?" "So when will the bridge be finished?" asked Kakashi, ignoring the two. "In a few days, now that no one is sure that Gato is going to kill us all," said Tazuna. "Good. Unnamed bridge day of completion. Thank you for all your help, I couldn't have done it without you," said Tazuna as he shook hands with all the Leaf Shinobi. "It's no problem," said Kakashi. "Alright, part 1 of this mission is done, now on to a part 2. The escort of Naruto Uzumaki to the ruins of Uzushiogakure to assist in the retrieval of his clan's secrets." "What?" asked Sakura as Sasuke was also shocked. "In Uzumaki, huh? Interesting," mused Zabuza aloud. As the shinobi were walking away, Tazuna and his family and friends were watching them, wondering what to name the bridge. "The sexy Tazuna Bridge, of course," said Tazuna, who was only half joking as he puffed out his chest. "How about the Great Naruto Bridge?" asked Inari. "I like the sound of that. A symbol named after the man who gave us all hope for a better tomorrow." Before you say that, in the office they were showing favoritism to Naruto, talking about training him, that may be, but I don't care. Sasuke gets way too much, so I'm just evening the score. It's kind of implied in the chapter, but Naruto does have supplies to make seals like ink, and blank paper and scrolls. He's just incapable of making anything greater than exploding tags or sealing scrolls at the moment. If you were wondering what Naruto is wearing, here it is. Black shinobi pants with a kunai shuriken holster on both legs, a sleeveless black undershirt, an orange sash, a forest camouflage hooded jacket, a holster for various scrolls like the shoulder holsters for pistols in detective movies, black shinobi sandals, and 2 hip pouches, one for his sealing supplies, and one for his various other ninja inventory. 1. Gama-chan is the name he gave his wallet, since it is shaped like a frog. 2. Why the hell would you ask this? If there were shinobi in Wave Country, don't you think he would have hired them? 3. Where do you think they get the logs? 4. Did you notice the same thing I did? No one took the gauntlets. Seriously. They tied the a-holes to a tree in the manga and let them keep the gauntlets. Sure, they were unconscious, but still. WTF. 5. Haku's 15 in my story. 6. Means angel. Do you think I should get him gambling and selling his seals right away, or should I wait until they go get Tsunade? What should he find in Uzu? Should Jiraiya teach him after they get back or when he does in canon? Eagle 12. Interesting idea. I'll make a few Uzumaki OCs, and there's a couple in this chapter. Hoi T. Will do. Ryujin 96. Thank you. I had a little difficulty deciding which jutsu he would know, and I'm glad someone likes my choices. Quietreaper. The clone didn't follow Haku, the clone followed Gato. The one that followed Haku was the original Naruto. Danito. No, he will not get Ragnarok. I think it would be a little weird if he had a guy coming out of his shoulder. Plus, I don't think that the opinion of him would be helped very much by that, as well as the fact that he already has the fox, which, if you think about it, is Ragnarok in this story. He just can't come out. Plus, I couldn't really think of how to include him. Yeah, Starting from this chapter I'll make all the jutsu in bold and underlined. Don't worry about all the scenes I skipped, I plan on doing a series of omakes of all the things I missed or skipped. Nya Naya kitty face, thank you for the idea man. I have seen a couple scenes from an episode or two but I didn't know that the attacks were due to blood. I will make sure to use your idea. RoboGuy45, I did already tell you this, but I want everybody else to know. He didn't have to give one of his family scrolls to his teammates, he just had to give them each a sealing scroll. Draco. No clue what xenomorph armor is so, no. Construct idea is awesome though. Decius23, hey that is like Gaara isn't it? I didn't really man to copy him in fact when I was first thinking of this I was comparing it to Bleach's Byakuya Kuchiki Senbonsakura in that unlike Gaara's sand, the Koketsu and Senbonsakura are not sentient, they actually have to be controlled. I never planned on giving him the Kubikiri Haku. Elektric Rage. No clue, for the experience thing I think it's kinda like a muscle memory-esque thing. Other than that I'd say that the only reason he ever made that many clones is for training purposes in which he doesn't need the memories just the experience. Otherwise he just uses on at a time like when I had him make one clone to follow Gato, so I think he probably does forget a lot of what happens. Either that, or the memories just kind of blend together unless he only dispels them one group at a time. Also no one but him can make the army he can so it's slightly a moot point. Sorry about the pace, it's my first story. I will say though that I will also be guilty of the sin of the shadow clone shortcut. TBR, sorry about that I'll try better. Hello, human speech. Hello, human thought. Hello, demon speech. Hello, demon thought. Jutsu, jutsu. On the road, the 6 ninjas were tree jumping away from the country of Wave when Zabuza asked the question that both he and Haku were wondering. Alright then I'll bite. Why are we going to Uzu? It's to retrieve whatever we can of my clan's history and artifacts. Replied Naruto. Why would you go there now? I mean wouldn't whoever had destroyed the place have looted the place? Asked Haku. While that may have been true at the time, they didn't have an Uzumaki with them, and the village was known for its seal masters. Answered Kakashi. Where are we going then? Asked Haku. Well Haku-chan, we are going to the port nearest Uzu so we can charter passage. Said Naruto. Why don't we just water walk there? Asked Zabuza. These two don't know how. Said Naruto, indicating Sasuke and Sakura. And you do? Asked Kakashi, genuinely surprised. Yep. Said Naruto simply. Whatever Dobi, if you can do it then I can do it no problem. Said Sasuke. Yeah, you baka. Screamed Sakura. You deal with this every day, Naruto-kun. Asked Haku. Kun. Wondered everyone, put the painfully oblivious blonde. Unfortunately. Said Naruto with genuine emotion. Anyways, we're here. Said Kakashi as Sakura and Sasuke were glaring at Naruto. Port town. We need to find a man who will take us to Uzu. Said Kakashi, as the group walked through the town. Kakashi-sensei, why are we going there anyways? Don't we have better things to do? Asked Sakura, who was honestly just tired of working at the moment and wanted to go home. Because Sakura, it is an order from the Hokage, beyond that, you don't need to know anything unless Naruto deems it necessary, as he is the client of this mission. Said Kakashi. What? Yelled both Sakura and Sasuke, surprised. Gigi funded this mission, but listed me as the client. Explained Naruto. Since they are going there anyways I should see if there's anything of use so I can kill him. It's not like the Dobi should get anything if it's really important, thought Sasuke planning on taking whatever seemed of use for himself. As if sensing this Kakashi said to everyone, when we get there, I want every sealing scroll but Naruto's so that nobody can take what should be his. Everybody nodded as Sasuke inwardly seethed. Does anybody have any ideas? Asked Kakashi. Well Kakashi-sensei, I think we should go to either a bar or the docks. Said Naruto. If you're going to be an alcoholic, do it on your own time Dobi. Insulted Sasuke. Yeah drunkie. Screamed Sakura. Actually Sasuke, it's very easy to get information in places like bars, brothels, and marketplaces. Said Kakashi, as his students paled slightly. As everybody waked to the closest bar, Kakashi asked Naruto, so, how are you doing with those techniques you told me about? Well I've made a successful Koketsu Bunshin black blood clone, and I've found that they are rather sturdier than my Kage Bunshin shadow clone. Zabuza promised he'd teach me the Kurigakur no Jutsu, hiding in the mist jutsu, and the Suiryuden no Jutsu, water style. Water dragon jutsu, so that I can try and make my Kokutsu Mizu, blood mist Kokutsu Ketsuryuden, black blood dragon jutsu. You got Zabuza to teach you a couple of jutsu. How and why on earth did you do that? Asked Kakashi. Well, I figured it wouldn't really be good to ask you to teach me because I don't know if you know the Kurigakur no Jutsu, and considering it took you a month and a life or death struggle to teach us tree walking, I decided it wouldn't really be worth my wasted breath to ask. Said Naruto as the group entered the bar. As they went into the bar, Naruto continued to explain. As to how, I made a deal with him. A deal? What do you mean? Asked Sakura. At this Naruto smirked and Zabuza grumbled about smartass blondes, to which Naruto responded, better a smartass than a dumbass. Before explaining, flashback no jutsu. An interesting idea, brat, what do I get out of it? Asked Zabuza the night that Naruto proposed the idea. I'll reduce my cut to 15%. Said Naruto. Are you kidding me? If you want those jutsu you have to do better than that. 5%. Shot back the demon. I'll go to 12%. 8, 10, 8, 10, 8, 10, 8, 8, 10. You drive a hard bargain, Zabuza. Alright then, I'll take 10. Smirked Naruto as he shook the swordsman's hand as he tricked the man. 1. Good, wait, what? You already agreed, old man. Fine, you get a 10% cut. Complained the demon. Flashback no jutsu kai. Only you would have the stones to trick a man who's killed more people than you've had hot meals, said a slightly awestruck Kakashi. Alright, we should start asking around. Said a pissed Zabuza. Kakashi then moved to the counter and placed a bit of money on the counter. Can you give me some information? Asked the Cyclops, as the rest of the party looked on. That would depend on the information, Shinobi-san. Replied the bartender. A greasy-looking man who had no hair on top of his head, but long stringy hair on the sides. He also had what looked like a stained dish rag over his right eye, and was wearing gray breeches and what was once a white tunic under a stained apron. We're looking for someone to take us to Uzu, explained the silver-haired man. Only one man who would do that. His name is Arashi too. You can usually find him passed out on his boat at this time of day. Its name is the Blue Sun. 3, explained the bartender. Passed out? Why would he be passed out? Asked the concerned Junin. No idea since he doesn't drink. Said the barman as Kakashi went back to the group to go to the docks. Docks at the boat. Here it is, the Blue Sun, said Kakashi. It's a piece of shit. Observed Sasuke. Well, let's go, said Haku. The group then walked up the gangplank and saw a man with snow-white hair, blue canvas trousers, a gray sash and black shirt, passed out on the deck with 2 children standing over him, 1 girl, 1 boy, obviously twins with vibrant red hair. They both looked exactly alike except for the length of their hair, with the boys being an inch or 2 long and the girls being shoulder length, and their eyes, the boy having green and the girl having purple. They were dressed in all gray wearing trousers and tunics. WW, who are you? Asked the girl. Hello, I am Hitaki Kakashi, this is Momochi Zabuza, and his daughter Haku. At this Zabuza raised his non-existent eyebrow, but didn't comment as Haku looked rather pleased. And these are my students, Haruno Sakura, Uchiha Sasuke, and Uzumaki Naruto. We were Hop. Aniki, screamed the 2 children as they tackled the blonde to the ground and proceeded to crush the life out of him in a hug. Aniki, questioned everybody but Naruto, because he couldn't breathe, and the white-haired guy since he was passed out. You said Uzumaki, right? They chorused. Yeah, said Kakashi as Naruto started to turn blue from the both of them hugging him. We're Uzumaki too, the twins exclaimed. This is Uzumaki Kihi, 4, and he's 8 years old, said the girl indicating the boy. And this is Uzumaki Asagao, 5, and she's 8 years old, said the now identified Kihi. And this is Arashi. They shouted together, striking a pose, gesturing towards the man which made it look as though they were showing off some sort of prize, making everyone there suspect that this was a practiced introduction. You are both Uzumakis? Asked Zabuza. Yeah, Arashi-san said he found us, started Kihi. When we were babies, abandoned, and he raised us. Finished Asagao. Can you let go of our friend and wake Arashi up? Asked Kakashi. No, but he should be up soon. He always is. replied Asagao as they dropped Naruto unceremoniously. As if on cue, the man began to stir. "Oh, my head. Kihi, can you get me a glass of water?" shouted Arashi. "Sure thing Two-san," shouted the boy as he ran off. "We have guests Two-san, and this one is an Uzumaki," shouted Asagao. "Another one huh?" mused Arashi. "Excuse me Arashi-san, but can we get to business?" asked Kakashi as the others nodded. "Oh, shinobi huh? And Konoha nins too. Alright then, what can I do for you?" "We'd like to go to the island of Uzushiogakure." Very well, I was planning on taking the twins there soon anyways." "I'll take you there." "Asagao, Kihi, get ready to set sail. We leave in 10 minutes. On the boat night, Naruto was sitting on the railing of the ship watching the full moon in the cloudless sky, listening to the waves, and feeling the gentle rock of the ship. Naruto was thinking about the next day when he was interrupted from his thoughts by a familiar voice. "Are you alright Naruto-kun?" He turned around and saw it was Haku. "I'm alright Haku-chan. Are you alright? You should get back to sleep, it's late and cold out here," said Naruto. "No, I'm fine, I was just worried about you, you didn't come to bed," said Haku. "I'm alright," said Naruto, "I was just thinking." "About what?" asked Haku as she sat on the rail next to him. "The fact that I'm about to go home. That I'm about to go to the place where I once had a family. The fact that everything I should have known was destroyed long before I was even born," said Naruto slightly bitterly. "We are a lot alike Naruto-kun," said Haku as she unknowingly leaned her head on his shoulder. "What do you mean Haku-chan?" asked Naruto, blushing at the intimate contact. "Ah, blushing. I didn't know you had it in you. I had parents a long time ago. I was born in a small village of Inmizu no Kuni, land of water, in a place where it snowed every day. All we did was farm, and we were poor, but my mother and father were happy. I was happy. They were kind parents. But when I got older something happened," said Haku, staring at the moon, an absent expression, as though only half remembering that Naruto was there. "What happened?" asked Naruto, leaning against her like she was to him, not sure if she could actually hear him. "My father killed my mother and tried to kill me," said the ice user, seemingly ignoring the blonde. "Mizu has experienced many civil wars, and those who possess Kekkei Genkai, the genetic trait passed down from parent to child, from grandparent to grandchild, were hated. From what I understand, you have one too, so you should know what it's like. While I was hated by my village, but that was for a different reason. Konoha actually reveres Kekkei Genkai. When we get there, you will be welcomed with open arms." "It sounds wonderful. Now, because of the special abilities we possessed, these families were used in many disputes and the country itself feared us to be the harbingers of disasters and wars. After the wars, those families hid their abilities and lived on. Because if they revealed their secrets, they were instantly put to death. My mother possessed the Hyoten Kekkei Genkai. She kept it a secret and married my father, and must have believed that an ordinary life would continue for a while, but it was all too good to last." At this point Haku started to cry, and Naruto put his arm around her. "My father found out our secret. Later, I watched as he and a few of our fellow villagers beat my mother to death and then turn on me. As they approached me, I did the only thing I could and killed them all with my ice abilities. And at the time, I thought of myself as, no, I had think of myself as being, I realized that that was the most painful thing a person could feel. The feeling that you are not needed by anyone in this world. That no one cares if you live or die. After all that, if someone were to appear who accepted you from the bottom of their heart, that person would immediately become the one most important to you." She was remembering the day she met the demon on that snow-buried bridge. "Zabuza-sama knew that I was from a family with a Kekkei Genkai and he still raised me. He wanted the ability that everybody else hated. I was happy, I was needed. I became his servant and his weapon. I had purpose. Now I am going to a ninja village. I will have a bigger purpose, I can go to the hospital and save lives instead of ending them. I still wish to be a ninja, but I want to do what I can for others. And for that, I will always be grateful. Naruto-kun, would you like to be my precious person?" "Of course I would Haku-chan. All my life I have been despised by my village for something I couldn't control, just like you. It wasn't for my ability, as I just recently awoke it. But like you, I found my precious people, who I bet would love to meet you. Would you like to be my precious person, Haku-chan? Of course Naruto-kun. And I can't wait to meet your precious people, said a heavily blushing. After that, they just sat there in each other's arms. After about an hour, Naruto asked Haku to go to bed and that he would go to his soon. When she was gone, Kakashi came up to him and told him to follow. They went to a section of the cargo hold that would make it almost impossible to be eavesdropped upon. Hello Naruto-kun, said a jovial Arashi. Hello Arashi-san, replied Naruto. I want to ask something of you that I don't know if I am allowed to ask. I will help if I can Arashi-san, replied the blonde Jinchuriki. I want you to take the twins with you when you go back to Konoha. At this point he held up his hand to stall any arguments the blonde had. They want to become shinobi and I can't bring them there because I'm dying. You are their blood and from what I understand you are eligible for clan head status due to your Kekkei Genkei and your shinobi status, although you need to be a chunin to be a full clan head. Explained the white-haired man. Very well sir. I have a family and I will do all I can for them. I will apply for clan status in Konoha after I retrieve our secrets and equipment. Good. In that case I will rest easy knowing they will be taken care of when I pass, said the relieved white-haired man. Before I go though, can I ask, how did you meet them? Wondered the blonde. Not much to tell really. I was walking in the woods, I smelled death, I followed, heard crying, came across a clearing in which a looted caravan sat, and found the two of them underneath what I assumed to be their mother due to the similar hair color. All right then, good night, Arashi-san, said the blonde walked away to his room. Village of Uzushiogakure next day. Wow, whispered Naruto as the rest of the group which included Team 7, the Kiri Nins, and the 3 sailors was speechless. No kidding, said Kyuubi. They were standing on a ridge overlooking the village. It was a beautiful sight. There were 3 rivers running through it, 2 flowing towards the middle causing a giant whirlpool, with the 3rd river being much larger than the rest and leading away from the center out of the village. On the shore of the whirlpool, between the 2 smaller rivers, there was a large tower which looked like the Hokage's tower back in Konoha sitting on a large cylindrical stone platform. Spreading out from the pool were beautiful houses that were all rectangular, spread throughout the city were beautiful, now overgrown, gardens with pillars, gazebos, and fountains. On every man-made object in the city was the Uzu symbol. Everywhere was the remnants of the invasion, bodies, destroyed buildings, bloodstains, and rusted weapons. 5. After they jumped down, Naruto immediately went to the closest body and examined the hit. It's the same as the symbol on your flak jacket, Kakashi-sensei, stated Naruto. Are you okay? Asked Haku as she placed her hand on his shoulder. Yeah, it's just a little hard to realize this person was my clansman, he said as he dug around the person's belongings, looking for a form of identification. Uzumaki Atsushi, 21 years old, a Junin, married, no children, A rank in ninjutsu, A rank in taijutsu, and B rank in genjutsu, B rank with fuinjutsu, said Naruto as he got up and put the card in his hip pouch. He then made his signature hand seal and said, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu, and around 100 clone popped into existence. Spread out. Find all the bodies with the Uzu symbol on them, collect any form of ID that you can and then give them a proper Uzu send-off, he shouted pointing to the huge whirlpool in the center of the village. After that bring me their IDs and then go search for anything that can be of use. Leave the rest where they fell. Hi boss, shouted the clones as they all went off in separate directions. All right Kakashi-sensei, I think we should head to the central tower. I would also like to request that when we get to the village head's office, that I go in alone, said a deceptively calm Naruto. All right Naruto, you're the mission client, so we have to respect your wishes, said Kakashi. The hell with that, said Sasuke, if I want to go somewhere, then I will do so. I don't need your permission. Yeah Naruto. Sasuke-kun doesn't need your permission for anything. He's better than you, screeched Sakura. Actually you too, said an eye-smiling Kakashi, since Naruto is the mission client, we need to do as he asks. If not then you two will not get paid in Naruto and I will get the reward for this B-rank mission. B rank? For this pathetic place? Asked a skeptical Sasuke. Well I'd like to see any village try to fight off a full invasion force from 3 of the major villages and still take out over 2/3 of the combined forces, said an increasingly irritated blonde. This is where our family lived, asked Kihi. Hi, Oto-kun, said Naruto. Why is it so smashed up? Asked Asagao. Well, Imo Udo-chan, our people were so awesome that 3 of the 5 major villages were threatened by them, and decided to do whatever they could to not feel that way anymore. Said Naruto to the little girl, causing stars to go into the twins' eyes. Whatever Dobi the Uchiha clan is better than yours ever was. Said Sasuke. Yeah, I'm not in the mood for a pissing contest. Said Naruto as the group reached the tower. Inside the Uzumaki Tower first floor. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu. Shouted Naruto as they entered the reception area. Alright guys, you know the drill. Find IDs, give the bodies a send-off, go find something of use, and bring it all to me. He then brought out a storage scroll which he then unrolled to find a larger scroll. Kakashi-sensei, can you put everything but the IDs that my clones bring into this scroll, and place the IDs into this smaller one? Sure Naruto. Alright team, we'll set up camp here. Naruto, you go on and explore the rest of the building, just be careful. Uzumaki Tower top floor 1 hour later. So far Naruto hadn't really found anything of use, when he came across the most ornate door he had found so far. When he entered, he found a room that was a half circle that looked like it took up half of the floor with the entirety of the curved wall having windows. There were also several bookcases along the wall with the door in it. An ornate desk facing said was with a chair behind it and 2 comfy-looking chairs facing the desk, as well as a couple of couches on either side of the desk facing away from the windows. As he approached the desk, he noticed there was a journal on it with the Uzumaki symbol on it. He picked it up and found that it belonged to the 4th Uzukage's son. What's this doing here? Wondered Naruto as he tried to open the journal, only to be repelled by a seal. Maybe it's a blood seal, he thought as he bit his finger and spread some blood on the seal allowing him to open the journal. March 5, 8. I wonder how Kushina is doing. I know she left to become the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, but that life is one of nothing but pain. I hope that Mito-sama is teaching her well. Anyways, we've received word that a new war is about to begin. I really wish we wouldn't have to do this, but if Konoha joins then my father will not hesitate to help them. The Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Why didn't you tell me about this? You never asked Kit. I can't really tell you anything about her, other than the fact that she kept me in a seal that is way more restrictive than yours. She was my second Jinchuriki after Mito Uzumaki, the wife of the first Hokage, passed away. I see, that's too bad, I'll ask Gigi about it. April 17th. It's war and we've already lost several men. I know we won't make it out of this unscathed, but we will do all we can to minimize losses. I know that Konoha will not let us down. June 3rd. We have heard word of an invasion by 3 separate villages, Kiri, Kumo, and Iwa. We've sent messages for aid to Konoha, but they don't think they can come in time, because they have their own problems. I hope we can come through this with as little damage as possible. Several of our civilians, women, and children were evacuated, just in case, so that our lineage does not die out. That means that I have more family to find. July 20th. The invasion force has arrived. We have already lost several men, including the head of the Uzumaki clan. The barrier seals are holding, so they haven't gotten into the city, but seals of that magnitude take up way too much chakra to be of use for long. We are stockpiling supplies and fortifying lines of defense for the final assault. Our first casualties will without a doubt be the barrier team as the enemies are camping as close as they can get, waiting to pounce. Well, that's rather depressing. August 12th. Today is the day. We will send out one messenger to tell the sealed teams to lower the barrier so they at least have a fighting chance. I know that Konoha didn't abandon us, but I am sad to know that we will all most likely die. If you are reading this, you are either now the head of the Uzumaki clan, or can take this to them. We have locked everything of vital importance inside the Uzumaki vault below, where this tower meets the shore of the whirlpool. Our greatest seal masters, for the last 100 years, have made sure that only living and willing Uzumaki clan member is able to enter. The only good thing that I can see about this event is that some of our kin have escaped. I must now leave so I can join my friends to take as many of those bastards as we can with us. Goodbye. As Naruto finished reading, he put the journal back onto the desk. Wow. I know Kit, your kin seemed to have been true warriors. I just think it's somewhat poetic that that's how they went. Yes, now, what's this about a vault? Well, from what I understand of such things, that position should be open for whoever wants it, so if I state myself as the head of the clan, then that should be enough. Plus I opened this journal so that has to count for something. True enough, now seal up everything you want to in here, and go find that vault. All right Kyuubi, I just need a moment. After about a minute, Naruto picked the journal back up, placed it in his pocket, searched the shelves, then the desk, and finally, went to leave, but as he did so, he noticed a shelf above the doorway with 4 pictures on it. Those must be the Uzukages, like the pictures of the Hokages in Gigi's office. Mused Naruto as he pulled one of the chairs over to the shelf so that he could take the pictures, noticing that they all had the same weapons and armor, and placed them into the scroll he had carried in with him. He then made a clone, told it that the most important things were in the vault and dispelled it, then he left the office. Uzukage Tower, 1st floor. How much has been brought in? Asked Naruto as he walked into the lobby. Several hundred IDs and not much else. Sorry Naruto. Explained Kakashi. It's no problem, Kakashi-sensei, I found a journal that said that all the good stuff was put into a vault, that only an alive and willing Uzumaki could enter. That's interesting. Said Zabuza, I never knew a seal could do that. Neither did I, but the Uzumakis were world-renowned for their sealing abilities, so it's not that big a stretch. Mused the Cyclops. Here, you can check for yourself, said Naruto as he offered the journal. Kakashi then took it, read for several minutes as the rest of the group looked on, and then offered it to one of the twins, saying, damn. You took the words right out of my mouth. Now, let's go hit that vault. You should give anything you find to me, Dobi. It's not like you should get anything of use. In fact, I should go into that vault and have first pick. Sneered Sasuke. Hell no Tem. Besides, only an Uzumaki can enter that vault. You will do as I say. I am an Uchiha, shouted Sasuke, as in true fangirl style. Sakura agreed. Yeah Naruto, giving you anything would automatically make it useless. Whatever. Kakashi, I'd like to report to my head ninja guard that his subordinates are being contentious. Of course Naruto. This will go on the mission report that will go directly to the Hokage. Replied the silver-haired Junin. Are they seriously like this all the time? Asked Zabuza. I kind of feel sorry for Kakashi-san and Naruto-kun. Replied Haku as Arashi nodded and the twins whispered, poor Aniki. All right then, let's go. Said Naruto as he led the way to the location of the vault. When they got to the well-hidden entrance to the vault, he immediately noticed the seals. Well, this worked on the book, so let's see if it works now. Said the blonde, as he made a cut on his hand and smeared it on the center of the door. Click. The door then swung inwards, and as Naruto turned to the others to ask the twins to accompany him, Sasuke pushed him out of the way and tried to enter the vault, dead set on getting what he felt should have been rightfully his. The key word being, tried, because as soon as he took a step onto the threshold, he was blasted into a place somewhere between conscious and unconscious and thrown into the water. Ignoring Sakura's shout of, Sasuke-kun, and Kakashi starting to fish the emo out, Naruto turned to the twins and asked, would you like to come along? They both nodded their heads and followed the Jinchuriki into the dark opening. The first room they entered was a very large room, which looked to be about half the size of the rock formation that is in. Half of the room was completely dedicated to scrolls of various sizes and purposes. Some of them were on jutsu, some of them were on kenjutsu, some on forging, but at least 70% of them were on sealing, and there were at least 2 of each sealing scroll. On the other side were weapons, tools, armors, and other various things. There was a wide assortment of weapons, including, for some reason, a few instruments like a purple guitar. 9. Cool. Shouted the 2 redheads as Kihi immediately went to the guitar and Asagao went to the scrolls that said, medic seals. After Naruto made the necessary clones to seal everything up into the 4 large sealing scrolls, he noticed another door opposite of the entrance that had the kanji for, clan head. I guess that's me, said Naruto to himself as he immediately went to the door. After he entered, he noticed that the room was significantly smaller, about the size of a walk-in closet. The first thing he noticed was a forest green Haori tent on a mannequin. The next thing he noticed was a stand with the weapons he saw in those pictures of the Uzukages. They were about 3.5 feet long in total, with a foot-long curved foot-long bandage-wrapped hilt, and a 2.5-foot-long blades that looked like a cross between a saber and a katana, neither of which had a tsuba. After that he saw another display with a storage scroll, and a scroll with the kanji for wolf, and one with the kanji for tiger on it. Taking the haori off the mannequin, he noticed that it was way heavier than it should have been. He then saw a letter attached to the mannequin and decided to read it, putting the garment back for the moment. Dear Uzumaki, I have finished that haori you wanted to your exact specifications. There are 7 layers to it. The first 2 are a layer of my highest quality cotton on the outside and silk on the inside. Below those on the outside is a layer of fireproofing and waterproofing seals, and on the inside a set of temperature regulators. Apply chakra to the left chest area to lower the temperature and the right to raise it. Below those are 2 layers of my highest quality stainless steel fibers weaved life fabric, and the final middle layer is a layer of overlapping shingle-like small metal plates, each about an inch in length and width. Again, all materials used in this construct were the highest grade one could possibly acquire. I have included several hidden inside pockets and pouches for weapons and sealing supplies, and I have put that fitting seal you told me about between the shoulder blades. Just focus some chakra into it, and it will fit whoever is wearing it perfectly. This could very well be my masterpiece, and I thank you for allowing me the opportunity to make it. I hope it serves you and the future heads of your clan well. Signed Higurushi Takumi, 11. It's set 2 days before the journal said the Uzumaki clan had died, which means that he probably never actually wore it. This is the most awesome thing I have ever seen, thought Naruto, amazed at the sheer amount of care and consideration that went into the garment, as he placed the letter into his left hip pouch. Indeed, Kit. The seals protect against fire and water jutsu and prevent you from dying from hypothermia or heat stroke. The steel weave offers slashing protection and the metal plates offer piercing protection. It is truly an impressive garment, and the silk and cotton give it comfort and aesthetic appeal. Observed the demon fox. Naruto then turned to the swords and drew one of them. It's a beautiful blade, maybe you don't need those claws after all. I bet Kiba would like them. Dog breath. Yeah, he would probably like that. Maybe when you reinstate your clan, you can give them to him as a way to try and make a clan alliance. A clan alliance? What do you mean? I mean that you need to get in good with the other clans so that if something untoward were to happen to you, you could have friends to bail you out. Interesting. What do you think I should do with those summoning scrolls? He asked as he sheathed the blade and strapped the 2 of them to his back, with the hilts sticking over his shoulders. Something tells me you should wait before you sign one, replied Kyuubi. Naruto then took his jacket off his body and the haori off the mannequin again and put it on, noticing that currently, it was several sizes too large. He then focused chakra into the seal in between his shoulder blades, and after a flash of bright light and he could feel the haori shifting on him. When it was finished, it looked the exact same just to his size. It was loose enough to be comfortable, but not enough to be hampering. The sleeves were long enough to cover half of his hands, but again loose enough that it wouldn't hamper his hands. A cursory examination found several hidden pockets in the sleeves, armpits, and even the lining of the garment. This thing is awesome. Hey, that scroll said Higurushi, right? Isn't that the place you got all your clothes and stuff? Asked the fox. Yeah, you're right. Perhaps I should thank them. When we get back I'll have to find out what's in that sealing scroll, responded Naruto. He then sealed up the 3 scrolls and placed it in a pocket inside the haori and left the room empty, but for a single mannequin. When Naruto made it back to the other room he found that the only things in the room were the twins, one with a medical seals scroll and one with a purple guitar and what appeared to be a manual on how to use it, a single clone, a large box, a single sealing scroll into which all the others were sealed 12, and several empty shelves and weapon and armor racks. You gonna keep those? Asked the blonde Uzumaki. The 2 of them simply nodded, too engrossed in the scrolls that they were holding. What's that? Asked Naruto to his clone, indicating the box. The clone, for some reason, seemed nervous as he opened the box and pulled out a single object. It was an Uzushiogakure Hitai 8. Naruto hesitantly reached out a hand and took the headband. He then tied it around his neck like a collar and sealed the box with the rest of them into the scroll. He then dispelled the clone and placed the scroll in a pocket and gestured the twins to follow him. Outside, Haku was watching the entrance of the vault, and by this time Sasuke had been fished out, had tried to go in again, was fished out again, had sworn, sat down on the shore to dry off and spurned Sakura for a date, while all the others had just sat by the entrance. She saw the three of them, and immediately noticed Naruto's changed outfit. Blushing at how good he looked in his new haori, she called to them, "Hello, Naruto-kun, Asagao-chan, Kihi-kun, it looks like your search was fruitful. Hi, Haku-chan, everything is all sealed up, me and Kihi have weapons, Asagao is studying scrolls, I got this awesome haori, and a few more things that are to say the least, badass. HN, you don't deserve anything Dobi, it should all go to me. I'm the last Uchiha. Give me those swords," demanded Sasuke. "Yeah, Naruto. 3 guesses and the first 2 don't count. No, these are my clan's secrets and I am the client for this mission. Though based on this, I'll have to specifically request a different team should this ever happen again," said Naruto. "HN, all I want are the swords Dobi, seals are useless, the haori looks like shit, that hitai around your neck means you're a traitor, and a guitar is a stupid instrument. Actually Sasuke, the Yondaime Hokage's Hiraishin, Flying Thunder God, was completely reliant on seals and is one of the greatest techniques ever made. The guitar is most likely more than it appears, the hitai is probably just something like the symbol of your clan on the back of your shirt, and I think the haori looks nice. I also recommend that you don't demand things of the client, it leads to mission failure, little to no pay, and marks on your record," responded Kakashi. "Whatever, I doubt that anyone would do anything to me, the last Uchiha, in fact, I'd be surprised if they didn't support me," said the Avenger arrogantly. "Let's just make camp," said Arashi, who was showing Kihi how to wrap his new guitar in bandages. "So you find anything particularly awesome?" asked Kakashi. "Yeah, there was armor, and weapons, and tools, and lots of scrolls. And I found this awesome guitar. This scroll says that if you channel, Chakra, into it, and play, it makes different things happen. It says here that someone actually made elemental wraiths with it, and that it unfolds into a scythe," shouted Kihi. At this point Sasuke was slightly interested and wanted it for himself, but couldn't do anything for fear of reprisal. "Nay, Zabuza, I was wondering if you could help me figure out how to use these things," asked the haori wearing genin, gesturing to the swords on his back. "What do I get out of it?" asked Zabuza. "I'll lower my cut to 5%, and I'll give you a few seals that help with training." "What kind of seals?" asked Kakashi. "Weight seals," responded Naruto, "you can make them heavier or lighter by applying chakra to them." "I thought you could only make explosive tags and sealing scrolls," said Sakura. "I haven't just been trying to make jutsu this whole time Sakura, I can now make the weight seals as well as minor barrier seals. Won't stop anyone like Kakashi-sensei, but they might stop Iruka-sensei depending on how much chakra you put into them. You just need to either overpower them, or rewrite the actual seals," explained Naruto. "Amazing, seals are one of the most complicated form of ninja arts, and he's just soaking them up like a sponge," thought Kakashi before asking if he could get a few weight seals as well. "Sure thing Kakashi-sensei, right now I have one on each of my wrists that are 20 pounds each, one on each of my ankles that are 30 pounds each, and one on my shirt that's 50 pounds 13. I plan on placing one on my new swords, and would my haori, but it's already weighted, due to it being reinforced." "Reinforced?" asked Zabuza. "Yes, there are 2 layers of steel weave and in between those is a layer of overlapping steel plates, as well as fireproofing and waterproofing seals and temperature regulators. That's a high-quality piece of clothing," remarked Arashi. "Yep. It was ordered for the Uzumaki clan head, but he died before he could ever wear it, so for all I know, I'm the first one to ever wear it," Naruto said, examining one of the sleeves. Fine, I'll take that deal. All right, you should know that I can't place the seals directly on clothing, so I will need to put them on some kind of arm-leg band." "Very well, here you go," said Zabuza as he took his arm and leg warmers off 14 and handed them to Naruto. As he was applying the seal, Kakashi asked if Naruto could make something like this for all of Team 7, handing him his gloves. "Sure Kakashi-sensei," said a barely listening blonde, as he was busy placing the seals. "Hey Dobi, give me some of those seals," demanded Emo Duck Ass. Naruto glanced at Kakashi, who simply nodded and told Sasuke to give him the arm warmers. As he was applying the seals, he explained how they work. "If you want to increase the weight, then channel chakra into the seals and the weight will increase. If you just flare your chakra briefly, it will all go away. Each time you flare your chakra to get rid of the weight, you have to restart from zero. After Naruto had finished setting the weight seals, the group set camp for the night. Uzumaki Tower, base camp night. Naruto was just starting to fall asleep when Haku appeared and asked to talk. Sure Haku-chan, what do you want to talk about? Asked the blonde. Do you really think that I'll be accepted in Konoha? Wondered a fearful Haku. Of course you will. And even if a lot of people don't accept you, I know people who would accept you without hesitation. Zabuza, me, Kakashi-sensei, the Hokage, the Ichirakus, Ruruka-sensei, and all my friends, responded Naruto, putting his arms around her. I suppose, I just don't want to be alone anymore, said Haku, basking in the warmth of his body. I promise that you will be accepted Haku-chan, even if it's only by me. Thank you Naruto-kun. You should probably watch out when we get to Konoha, because there will probably be several people who will want your ability for either breeding or research purposes, Gigi, Zabuza, and I will do all we can to prevent that, but we can't be there all the time. I thank you for your concern, but I can take care of myself. If you say so, I just don't want anything to happen to you, you are my precious person. Thank you, said a blushing Haku. The two of them just sat there for the rest of the night until they fell asleep in each other's arms. Uzumaki Tower base camp morning. Naruto was the first one of the two to wake up, noticing that he was held down by a very warm weight. Opening his eyes he noticed that it was Haku, sleeping on his chest. Blushing at how good she looked and the fact that she was that close, he lightly shook her awake. Haku-chan, you should wake up now. I don't want a Naruto-kun, said a half-asleep Haku. Please wake up Haku-chan. Fine if you ask that nicely then she began only to stop halfway through, noticing their position, not even remotely sleepy anymore. Sorry, Naruto-kun, she said, blushing a shade that a tomato might envy. It's alright, he started, before noticing something interesting. Haku-chan, do you bind your chest? He asked, blushing. Yeah, how do you know? She asked suspiciously. Because they aren't anymore. He pointed out. She said, then she stared at him for about 3 seconds, before blushing so red he was afraid she might pop, screamed, Kya, punched him in the face and got off him. If you're going to do that to my daughter, I would appreciate if you did it somewhere where I can't reach out and poke you, and that you wear protection, said a familiar voice. Naruto and Haku looked over and saw Zabuza Kakashi, and Arashi, just watching them, around a small fire. Zabuza-sama, nothing happened, insisted a red-faced Haku, before she noticed what he had said, daughter. I don't see why not. If we're going to be living in a major ninja city, I want to be able to look out for you. Hi, T2-san, said the grinning ice user. Hi no kuni noon. After an uneventful boat ride it was time to say goodbye to Arashi. Why can't you come with us too-san? Asked Asagao. No, I can't, I'm sorry, I have things to do, but Uaniki has promised to take care of you and can put you in the academy so you can be ninjas, said Arashi kindly. All right too-san, we'll miss you, the twins chorused, hugging the man. All right Imouto-chan, Oto-kun, let's go, said Naruto as he placed his hands on their shoulders. Okay Aniki. The twins chorused once again, turning to hug Naruto. He then made a clone to carry Kihi as he carried Asagao, and the group took off at high speeds towards Konoha, leaving behind a waving man, who started coughing as soon as they were out of sight. And we're done. I plan on doing a series of omakes on all the things I missed and skipped, including Konohamaru, their first mission, the True Genin exam, and Naruto snapping at Inari. If you want me to do an omake, just ask me, and if I like it, then I'll try to write it. I don't really like this chapter because it seems really rushed to me. The names for the children were completely random. I didn't really give the twin much characterization in my opinion. If you were wondering what I meant about a proper send-off, I meant that the clones would take the bones and place them into the whirlpool to be swept away by the water. If you are going to complain about the massive use of sealing scrolls in this chapter, I, once again, don't care. He does have the ability to make more, and also has the supplies to do so. I think I got a little harder on Sasuke and Sakura in this chapter than the others. I saw a commercial for that show, Toddlers and Tiaras, and I've got to say this. If you are a mother of one of those girls, you need to be shot by the one you love most and then get eaten by a mutated dandelion. What should Naruto do with the IDs? While Naruto will summon the Toad Scroll, which of the twins should sign which scroll? Poll up now. 1. Ha ha ha, Naruto, Bugs Bunnied, Zabuza. 2. Warashi means, storm. 3. Anyone know where I got that? 4. Kihi means, cinnamon. 5. Asagao means, morning glory, favorite flower, yes I know it's technically a weed. Shut up. 6. Think a mix of Konoha and grease and then destroy that with ninjas. 7. Atsushi means, industrious. 8. I don't know the years so I won't put them. 9. Think Nevin from Devil May Cry 3. 10. Looks like Kazuki's but it's solid green and has the Uzumaki symbol between the shoulder blades on the back. 11. Takumi means, artisan. 12. Mind freak. 13. Yes that's a lot so soon, but he was always rather strong. And the way muscles work is that muscles tear as you work out, and they repair stronger and stronger. If the fox can repair a fist-sized hole in Naruto's lung, then it can heal his muscles in order to get him stronger, especially in this FIC where the fox is actively trying to make him stronger in order for him to keep his reputation. 14. He's wearing what he did on the bridge. Guess the quote. If you're right you get a cookie, as soon as I find out what that actually means. Seriously, can someone tell me what that means? I reject your reality, and substitute my own.